The life of the party, that's who.
There's a super party animal. His name is Buds McKenzie. When the sun shines bright on a cold Bud Light, he's in a party frenzy.
He's Spuds McKenzie, the posh pooch of pop culture.
Go, Spuds, go.
Spuds, you're an animal.
Go, go, Spuds, go, go.
There he is. What a happening dude.
They're a super party animal.
Yeah.
His name is Spuds McKenzie. A barbecue inside.
A barbecue.
And a cold Bud Light.
A cold Bud Light.
Puts him in a party frenzy.
In a party frenzy.
He's Spuds McKenzie, Bud Light's original party animal.
Go, Spuds, go. Go, Spuds, go.
Go, Spuds, go.
Spuds, you really cooking now.
All right.
Come on, along, head for the mountains of Bush. Big, head for the mountains. It's cold and it's smooth, and it's waiting for you. Come on, head for the mountains of Bush. Big, Bush, big.
Today, a mute boy shares his world with a very special collie in The Miracle, starring Lassie.
Body with exercise. Tone up your skin with Tone.
I'm toning up.
I'm toning up from my head to my toes.
I'm toning up.
I'm toning up. Now my skin's gonna glow.
I'm toning up.
I'm toning up, looking good.
I'm toning up.
New Tone is specially formulated to rinse clean. And Tone now has more cocoa butter to condition your skin.
I'm toning up.
I'm toning up. Now my skin's gonna glow. Tone up with new clean rinsing Tone.
I'm ready now. Gonna be who I am today. I'm ready now to make a fantasy real my way. I'm ready now. I can see myself shine and I'll make the world mine today. I'm ready now. Cachet perfume.
The American Express card contains a single word that makes every other card seem like just a piece of plastic. Member.
I seem to have lost my wallet.
To us, Stephen Gardner is a member.
Mr. Gardner, I can have a new card for you by tomorrow.
And at American Express, our card members are entitled to a world of privileges.
We lost our card, our cash.
Even our passport. You've come to the right place. I can help you.
That's great. That was an easy sale.
No need to wrap it.
I think I can fix it, honey.
That's why I got buyer's insurance. Hello, American Express.
I left my prescription medicine at home.
Don't worry. Global Assist can help.
Bangkok today. Yeah, I'm packed.
Members carry our promise of respect, recognition, unsurpassed personal service. Membership has its privileges.
It's one hot hour of star power with Hollywood Squares and Entertainment Tonight, weeknights at 7 on Florida's Channel 2.
Are the stars out tonight? I don't know if it's cloudy or bright, and I only have eyes for you.
この美味しさ別世界フィリップ・モリス
I'm sitting on the dock of the bay, watching the tide roll away. Ooh, just sitting on the dock of the bay, wasting time.
この美味しさ別世界フィリップ・モリス
The lady is from Virginia.
But I love New York.
On New York Air, we fly to the Big Apple with New York Flair.
Love New York.
Take advantage of our low I Love New York fares, available on all weekend flights.
I love New York. It makes my heart beat faster.
With fares like these, everyone could love New York.
I don't think he's from around here.
Pepsi, the choice of a new generation.
I'm not ready to go yet, okay? I'm not ready. You gotta wait. I got shit to do. I'm in the middle of something, all right? Just hold on.
Watch your mouth or don't come in here.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Oh, yeah, people, come on, we're adults here. You know what? What is the point?
Yeah, we're adults here. I got a fucking Burger King fucking thing on my head. We're all fucking adults here, guys. People in my chat, 2 words. What are they? 2 words. Let me see the chat flood. Let me see the chat flood. 2 words. Okay. Next caller. Please. Let's get into the meat and potatoes, which translate in American to dick and balls.
I got flip-flops. These are my flip-flops. Yeah, I really like my flip-flops because I can put them on. Because look, watch me put them on. I can put them on all by myself. Watch me put them on. Look, are you watching? Look, these are my flip-flops.
Thanksgiving Day. I remember it clearly. It was Thanksgiving Day. I was inserting myself in somebody else's fucking business as a cash grab, and you know. This channel is harsh reality.
Karen Yak se jodió la sucia vida. Amen.
This is Jonathan Lee Riches. I have cheeseburgers. I'm gonna put cheese on them. I'm gonna make sure that I have my hamburgers because I'm a big boy now and I can make the hamburgers. My mom lets me use the stove now.
And I'm just like, wow, I like receipts, and they brought receipts. Like they had evidence to back up everything they said. And I'm like, okay, well, there's got to be another side to this, right? Like this can't. No, this is too fantastic.
Yeah, because you're not going to just jump to the conclusion that there's a conspiracy amongst cops to cover up a murder. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, cops and just like soccer moms and shit. Like that's what made it even crazier. Like,
yeah, get it, Betty. Yeah,
did you have a close relationship with your mom?
Get it, Betty.
Oh, of course, I still do.
Yeah.
My older sister was kind of she was more of the prissy girl that like going
that is
and
the best shit fucking
shopping for dresses with mommy. I was the tomboy that liked playing with
Shout out to Cherry for just being just easily the most faithful and loyal supporter that I've ever had. That someone could
have that tenacity with loyalty. And I'm really blessed to have someone like Cherry be part of this channel and in my life. So it means a lot. And yes, I named him after Mr. T and Rocky. Say, woman. Say, woman. Say, woman. Since your old man ain't got no heart, why don't you come down to my apartment tonight and I'll show you a real man. Oh my God, I'm so in love with this little dude. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this one up. I love you guys very, 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 very much. And we will do this again very soon, my friends. Oh, say bye. Say bye. Oh, I love you too. Give me a kiss. Oh, I love you. Bye, guys. Woo! Welcome, everybody. Period. Full stop. You are here. Where you should stay for the next couple of hours, because This is going to be fun. Man, we got a lot to go over. Mostly what I wanted to focus on today, folks, is just kind of what we're going to more or less expect surrounding the trial coming up, or happening right now. It is in jury selection. It is in jury selection mode. So we're going to see, but the thing is the opening statements haven't happened yet. Realistically, I'm hoping for Tuesday. I don't see that happening Monday. I have been historically wrong when it comes to how long jury selection will take on cases that I've covered and things like that. So who knows? Maybe they'll like go into opening statements after lunch tomorrow. Who knows? But hopefully Monday afternoon. But realistically, I'm shooting for the end of the week. Y'all are like, what? I'm like, yeah. Realistically, I'm shooting for the end of the week because I mean, who the hell knows? Who the hell can predict what the hell's going on with this case? So I have no idea. Especially with the recent motions filed by the defense, considering how the courtroom is, they're going to have to like move the courtroom or decide whether or not they're going to move the courtroom. It's weird because it's a valid argument made by the defense. Parts of the jury, certain members of the jury aren't even going to be able to see the witnesses' faces when they testify. I don't even know how a courtroom is ran like that all of these years. How long has that courtroom been a courtroom? How many cases have there been where the jurors weren't able to see the witnesses sitting on the stand? That's what I'd like to know. But I mean, and rearrange the courtroom how? How? I mean, it's okay. I mean, we'll see. Who knows? But my point being is I'm not going to get my hopes too high that it's happening like tomorrow, because I just don't think it's going to happen. And I'm not even going to get my hopes high for it happening Tuesday is my point. So, but I'm hoping by Tuesday. But there's a lot of chatter, as I predicted a long time ago, folks, long time ago. I predicted that there were going to be a lot of people talking about this case because it's, you know, it's there's a lot of other cases that are high profile now, and you know, the creators that are just trying to get, you know, cash in on what everybody's talking about are talking about those cases right now. But people are starting to talk a lot more about this one, just as predicted. And now those creators are going to start gravitating over this way, right? And that's cool, because the more eyes on this, the better. I agree that it's a good thing for those of you who are saying that. It is a good thing. So there's more eyes on this. There are, I have an audience full of people with common sense who understand that there is definitely something nefarious going on here in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. And so hopefully this trend picks up. Now there's one creator who is a larger creator, makes videos. I don't think I've ever seen do a live stream, but I'm sure she has done live streams. But I'm going to go over a few things, a few creators that have been tapping in on this case. And I like to do reactions, and I've been meaning to watch this one video. So we're gonna go into her video. Excuse me, sorry. We're gonna go into her video and discuss it. And like I said, I like this creator, but you know, I don't mean to put a but there because it's, you know, I haven't listened to this creator. It's just that, you know, when it's usually a creator who covers all cases and not just one, I don't have a whole lot of faith that they're going to cover everything that you know we would expect, because when it comes to this case, you can't just go by what's being said on the news. You definitely can't go by what's being said by YouTube creators. You have to go into the court documents and the witness statements and make your own opinion with this case, to do so responsibly. So now this is a creator named Christina Randall. I like Christina Randall. And if I'm being completely honest, I like Christina Randall. That's going to get me in trouble, but no, I just think she's really pretty. But that's all there is to it. I mean, I there's a lot of cases that she talks about. I can't even remember the last time when I watched one of her videos, to be honest, because I get so hyper focused on one video, or on one case, excuse me. I get so hyper focused on that I'm not really paying attention to videos made about other stuff here. And Christina Randall, I like her because she is an ex-con. Okay, hear me out. As far as what I know about Christina Randall is she's an ex-con, and she started off by explaining her experiences in prison. And when she got out, I guess she turned her entire life around. She got married. She's happily married. Started an amazing family, a beautiful family, and has been running her channel in a very professional manner, and is just, you know, like I said, it's like killing it. You know, so she's not just a pretty face on YouTube. She is she runs her channel she runs her channel very well, put it that way, a lot more responsibly than I do, as far as my channel goes. So, you know, there's a good reason why she has as many followers as she does. And like I said, it's not just because she has a pretty face. But we're going to listen to what she has to say about this case, because she just dropped this video last week. So let's check it out, see what she has to say about it. I'm going to drop the link in the chat. And I'm also going to speed this up because we got a lot to go over. So she's going to sound really fast, guys. But here's the link to this video. Go ahead and give it a like. And if it turns out she says stuff you don't like, then unlike it. I don't care. But at least, you know, we are playing it, we are watching it. So, you know, the nice thing to do is to give it a like. It's the courteous and thoughtful and polite thing to do.
Because we're going to get into this one. Before we get into today's video, I just want to let you guys know that this video is for educational purposes only. Please remember to be kind to everybody everywhere, in your everyday life, in your home, in the grocery store, and especially in the comment section down below. Please do not show hate.
Okay, I think what she meant to say was entertainment purposes only, because educational purposes would mean that she was qualified as some sort of educator in one of these fields. So like, you know, law enforcement or law or mental health even, or I don't know. I don't know what qualifications she has. Maybe she has more qualifications. I don't know, but I feel like she meant to say entertainment purposes, but said educational purposes. Or she meant to say educational purposes. I don't know.
Show hate to anybody, anywhere. So good morning, good morning, good morning. How is everybody doing today? I hope you all are having an amazing day. I hope you all have had a wonderful week. I hope everybody's doing great and getting geared up for another beautiful, hopefully wonderful weekend. So in today's video, we are going to be talking about a situation that happened not too long ago that is getting ready to go to trial. And when I tell you, for those of y'all that like to watch trial proceedings and see what goes on, this is going to be one for the books. This story is all over the place. I mean, buckle up because we're getting ready to get into it. Before we get into it, though, I did want to let y'all know, if y'all don't already know, hi, my name is Christina Randall. I do have a second channel, which is Casually Christina. We just do things more casually over there. I also have a Patreon. My Patreon is for 18 and up, and over there we just talk about more personal stuff. We go live over there, and I have a $2 tier for all of the true crime stuff that cannot go onto YouTube due to their terms and policies over here. It goes over on my Patreon under the $2 tier. Just make sure you read the about section and what each section or what each tier offers before you join. For those of y'all that are watching on the television
and
you can't see the description,
a lot of creators do this too, what she's describing, and it's a smart thing to do, because like if you're on YouTube to make money, which is a lot of YouTubers are on YouTube to make money, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Some YouTubers are making money off of exploiting their kids, which is kind of messed up. Which is really messed up, actually. There's a friend of this channel called the Dad Challenge Podcast who calls out these family vloggers, and we'll call that stuff out. But yeah, there's some nefarious stuff that happens on YouTube if you're on YouTube just to make money, and you're exploiting someone and it's happening at someone else's expense, which is not okay. But as far as what she's doing here, like I said, the true crime stuff, what happens, a lot of these bigger creators who are in this to make money, which, like I said, there's no judgment, absolutely nothing wrong with that at all. What she will do, and a lot of other creators will do, is they will put their true crime stuff on Patreon, simply because YouTube will not monetize certain videos when you say things, keywords like words that I like to use and don't give a shit about ad revenue, things like that. So I'll use words like murder and rape and sexual assault and whatever else that YouTube tends to flag. And personally, I don't give a shit. But other people do, and I understand that. And again, no judgment towards them. They just put it behind a paywall, and that's perfectly fine, unless you're putting up children's autopsy photos, which is what Zav Girl did, and it's a big no-no, and that'll get the whole world coming down on you. Don't ever do that.
Description box. All you got to do is Google Christina Randall Patreon, and it'll come right up. I am also on Facebook. I'm on Instagram, Snapchat, and I'm on
I won't do that shit, Scott McGinnis. I feel like I'm talking to grown-ups, and I'm not going to say things like SA like I'm talking to a 4-year-old, because you're not 4-year-olds. These are real problems that happen in the real world, and we're all grown-ups who have to live with the risk of these things happening. And I'm not going to sit here and patronize you and act like these things don't happen to adults and say grape and SA. And I just, it drives me crazy. I don't like when people do it to me, so I won't do it to any of you.
It now, and Like to Know It is where you guys can find all the links to my favorite things that I use: hair, makeup, jewelry, clothing, fingernail polish, stuff like that. That's all linked on my Like to Know It. All of those are linked down in the description box if you would like to come and check me out. So, okay, let's talk about this situation with Karen Read. Before we go into it, I'm going to let y'all know I don't know any of these people. I'm going to tell y'all the story from the best of my ability, from the public information that is already out there. Go do your own research, form your own opinions. I'm not a professional, because we're going to get into the theories and all of it. So buckle up. Before we go any further, I did want to stop and thank today's sponsor, MeUndies. You guys, last time I told y'all about my boy shorts for MeUndies. Y'all love them.
Now I'm going to let her sponsor go ahead. I mean, it's the least I could do if I'm playing her video. So if y'all are interested in some MeUndies, take a listen.
I do not blame you. Listen, the undergarment drawer is like the wild, wild west. I know for me personally, sometimes I have things for when I'm feeling a little bit more, let's say, adventurous, or sometimes I have things for every day. And I really love my MeUndies for the days that I need to feel comfortable, because MeUndies absolutely makes the most buttery soft undergarments. And just look how cute these boy shorts are. They are pink with the little bananas on them. And the band on these boy shorts are so comfortable because they do not dig in. They just lay on my side. MeUndies has styles for everyone, from all black classics to fun, expressive prints. Plus, they come in sizes from extra small to 4XL, assuring comfort and different styles for everybody. But MeUndies isn't just about underwear. You can explore their lounge collection that features joggers, hoodies, onesies, and more. And MeUndies' signature fabric is as soft as a warm hug from your favorite sweater. It's breathable, stretchy, and
You guys thought MeUndies was just about undies? No, it's about It's about overease too, people. Your blankets, your onesies, and your all kinds of Z's. All the Z's that you can handle, people. Okay?
Oh, so comfy, making it ideal for all day wear. And if you've been wanting to try MeUndies, now is your chance, because now you can get 20% off of your first order plus free shipping at MeUndies.com/Christina Randall. Yes, you can get 20% off of your first order plus free shipping by going to MeUndies.com/Christina Randall. Thanks again, MeUndies. Karen Reed grew up in Blacksburg, Virginia on a quiet cul-de-sac. Now, according to her parents, Karen liked to play piano and she attended mass with her family regularly. In fact, Karen went to a private Catholic
Dude,
school
you know how
and
many
she did really
emails-
well.
No, I am not auditioning for sponsors. You know how many emails I get from like companies that are like, we'd like to partner with you and blah, blah, blah. So that I spend a minute doing that. And I might end up doing that one day. I'm not saying I won't, but usually I just blow these things up. I remember the first time it happened, I got really excited about it. And I even like texted Annie from 10 to Life and I was like, oh my God, some company wants me to say it. She's like, that's great. And I was like, cool. And then I thought about it and then I was like, I'm not doing that shit. Fuck all that. I'm so bad at YouTubing. You guys have no idea. Like, I am the worst. I should have so many more subscribers and I just don't give a shit. It's so bad. I should be so much better at this. And I'm just not. Like, I just never, ever pay attention. I never answer those emails.
She took advanced placement classes and she was on the honor roll. So she was a good girl. She did really good in school. And after graduating high school, Karen went to Bentley University, just outside of Boston, Massachusetts, where she would go on to get her master's degree in finance in 2004. Very smart young woman, and obviously somebody who follows through with her goals. However, Karen's life wasn't as perfect as it may sound, though. She had some health troubles, and Karen was actually diagnosed with Crohn's disease at the age of 25, and she had 10 surgeries in 2 years for it. I mean, that's a lot. And she went through a lot with the Crohn's disease. Then at 32 years old, Karen was diagnosed with MS, which is multiple sclerosis. Back when Karen was 24 years old, she met a man who was 28 named John O'Keefe. Karen and John dated for a while, but when Karen moved to Dublin, Ireland for work, she and John broke up. This is when Karen's health problems really started. Karen's health problems got so bad, she actually ended up having to have a colostomy bag and she had temporary blindness. When Karen ended up moving back to Boston, she started working for Fidelity Investments, and this is when she began teaching finance classes at Bentley University, and this is where Karen has worked ever since. One of her coworkers describes Karen as kind and generous, and they said that she was funny. However, according to some police reports, not everyone would consider Karen as kind. Back in April of 2020, Karen called the cops on her 63-year-old neighbors for being too loud while she was trying to teach an online class. According to the police, when they arrived, Karen's neighbors weren't making any noise. And when I heard that, I thought, I know what you're doing. You know how it is when you're being all loud and somebody's telling you to be quiet, and when the police come, everything gets quiet. Shh. But I don't know the neighbors. But nevertheless, when the cops got there, the neighbors weren't making any noise. Then in November of 2020, those same neighbors ended up calling the cops on Karen. Apparently, while the elderly neighbors were like just outside mowing their lawn, their dog had been barking when Karen came over and was allegedly yelling and screaming at them over it. According to the police report, Karen allegedly told them, "You just wait and see. You'll be sorry." At this point, Karen didn't answer the door when the cops arrived, so they never.
So Karen was being a Karen. Guess that makes her a murderer. Fuck out of my face. Like, why do we care about this?
Got to speak with her about it. And from that, there's never been any further reported incidents since then. But I thought that was interesting. Like she was really getting into it with her and these 63-year-old neighbors. And I want to know, what was those neighbors doing that was so loud she couldn't teach her class? Was they in the backyard partying, drinking, dancing, hooping and hollering at 63? I mean, I've seen it happen. Nevertheless, back to Karen. So Karen had no criminal record at all. Well, at least she didn't until 2022. In August of 2020, during the pandemic, Karen and John reconnected on social media, and they started talking about how John had adopted his niece and his nephew, and allegedly the niece and nephew's parents had passed away. So Karen and John started officially dating again, which now meant that Karen was also spending a lot of time with John's niece and nephew.
You got to understand, folks. You got to use your eyes, people. All right. Christina Randall is the kind of channel that caters to a certain demographic. That demographic being generally busybodies who want to know about other people's personal fucking lives. You know what I mean? I'm not saying I don't know anything about Christina Randall personally. Don't know shit about her other than she's the stuff she puts on social media, which is she's married, she's got kids, and she does family stuff. cool. But you know, other people for some reason take some sort of interest in the stuff that happened with Karen Reed and her 60-something-year-old neighbors, and somehow that's, you know, going to be relevant to this story in some way, shape, or form. But whatever. Okay.
John was an officer with the Boston Police Department. Now, it is said that John and Karen loved each other very much. Remember earlier we talked about the fact that they dated for a while. They ended up going their separate ways while she moved to Ireland. She's back. Now he's got his niece and nephew. They reconnect. There's obviously going to be, you know, a little bit more obstacles, but also a lot more blessings now that he is raising his niece and nephew. But it is said that they loved each other very much, but like most relationships, it wasn't perfect. On New Year's Eve of 2021, Karen says that John had been drinking and he ended up not coming home until 3 a.m., which left her taking care of his niece and nephew all night that night. Allegedly, this made Karen feel like she was being taken advantage of. So then we...
Okay, now, just so you guys know, I've never streamed Christina Randall before, so if the stream ends abruptly, I'll just start another one. Just fair warning. Just so you know, hopefully she won't strike it, but...
Then we fast forward to January of 2022, and this is when things between Karen and John seemingly would get worse. Allegedly, Karen accused John of cheating on her with a friend's sister while they were on vacation in Aruba. It is said that Karen left several angry voicemails on John's phone, and it was so bad that John was actually considering breaking up with her, allegedly. However, although it is said that John was getting ready to break up with her over this, he would never get the chance to. Because on January 29th of 2022 at 6 a.m., deputies responded to a 911 call from Karen's friend saying that she and Karen had found 46-year-old John's lifeless body in the yard of a home at 34 Fairview Road. Okay, so we go from the relationship being rekindled. He's raising his niece and nephew. They get into an argument one New Year's Eve. The next New Year's Eve, they're arguing about different things, seemingly, allegedly. Next thing you know, she wakes up and her and her friend find his lifeless body. But now let's back this up to what happened the night.
Yeah, guys, try not to get too heated. Like, listen, like, I think as far as the community where I come from, like the true crime community on YouTube, I'm like the only one that has like your guys's like support as much as any creator does. So like you have to understand that these people are they're not going to get it right. You know, they're just not as invested as I am. You know, they're not as invested as Melanie Little is. They're not as invested as really, I mean, honestly, as far as anybody who can say that they come from the true crime community, they're just not as invested as the rest of us are. There's too much shit to dig into. There's too much shit to dig into for them to throw together a 45-minute video in the span of like, oh shit, I got to put out my next video in that time frame. So that's what's going on here. This is Christina Randall, who has a researcher that she hires, and then they throw together this shit. She doesn't give a shit. She's not supposed to give a shit, really. You know, it's a bonus if she does, but she's not supposed to give a shit. She only gives a shit about the stuff that is presented to her by whatever researcher that she has working on her payroll, and they throw together this shit, and then she will make a video. That's how this works. So
leading up to this. Okay. So on January 28th, a huge snowstorm was moving into town and everyone was preparing for it. Okay. Karen and John actually decided to go to a place called Waterfall Bar and Grill on Washington Street in Canton. It was a Friday night around 11 p.m. And this was the second bar that they stopped at that evening. Now, once they were inside the bar, this is when Karen and John ended up linking up with some of John's friends. John's neighbor, Chris Albert, Brian Albert, who is also part of the Boston Police.
Has Stephanie Harlow recently done a video on this? Because she also does really, really good deep dive videos. Like she'll do 2 or 3 parters, man. Stephanie Harlow's badass. I've watched Stephanie Harlow for years, honestly. But I don't know if she's even done anything on this case yet.
Police Department and Brian's sister-in-law, Jennifer McCabe, all of which had been raised together in this smaller town, Canton. In this small town, Canton, it only has like 24,000 people, and it's about 20 miles south of Boston. So they all know each other, all grew up together, and they're just all meeting up before the snowstorm to get some food and drinks. Okay. Now everyone was drinking and everyone was seemingly enjoying themselves at this point. Now, last call ended up being made at midnight, but Brian, the friend, was not ready for the night to end though. He ended up inviting everyone to his home to have a beer with his son to celebrate his son's birthday. Now, according to Karen, John wanted to go to Brian's house, but Karen felt too buzzed and she was too tired. So allegedly Karen ended up driving John to Brian's and supposedly she dropped him off there. Okay. So she don't want to go over there and hang out with everybody. She drops him off at his friends where they're going to go celebrate for the son's birthday, and she goes home. Several hours later, at around 4:30 a.m., Karen said that she woke up, she was on John's couch, and she was by herself. She said that John's niece was asleep upstairs and his nephew was away at a sleepover, but John wasn't there. Karen says that she wanted to call Jennifer, who was Brian's sister-in-law, and she was with them that night at the bar, but she didn't have her phone number. So Karen says that she decided to go upstairs to wake up John's niece, who did have Jennifer's phone number. When Karen called Jennifer, Jennifer said that she had no idea where John was. At this point, Karen just begins to call everybody. She's trying to find out where he is. So she made a few more calls to Chris's wife, Julie, and John's friend, Carrie. However, Karen still could not find John and she did not know where he was. And she said this is when she really started to worry. This is when she ends up going and meeting up with the woman, Jennifer, and a woman named Carrie. They all met up at Jennifer's home to go and look for John. Now, in the back seat, Karen was panicking. She was screaming that John was missing in the middle of a snowstorm and it was 18 degrees outside. So she is freaking out. Like, where is he? Is a snowstorm? Like, what does he do?
Okay. Now you see the language here and you see the language here that's being used, and you see the emphasis on what that she's doing. She's giving Karen, at least for the sake of this video, the benefit of the doubt, which I appreciate. She may not believe that Karen Read is innocent, and I don't expect anybody to necessarily believe that Karen Read is innocent, but at least don't make her out to be guilty without knowing everything. So I can appreciate the fact that she's wording it the way that she is, that she's saying that he's freaking out and that she's worried, and she called her two friends and that he's out in the middle of a snowstorm and she's freaking out and she's worried. That is Karen's side of things. So giving the person accused the benefit of the doubt is a big plus for me. Coming from a creator as with as big of a following as she has, when there is a culture of people who simply just want to bust out their pitchforks and hate the woman who killed her police officer boyfriend. Like she's not jumping on that bandwagon right away, which I could appreciate.
He doing? Like, freaking out. Okay. So they decided to go to the house that Karen supposedly dropped John off at earlier that evening, 34 Fairview Road. As soon as they were pulling up to the house, Karen yelled that she could see John in the yard, even though it was basically pitch black outside. Karen jumped out of the car and she ran over to John, who was lifeless and covered in snow. Karen immediately started to clean all of the snow off of him. She started to put her hands on him. She ended up laying on him, anything she could to keep him warm. This is when Karen started to give John mouth to mouth, and Carrie was doing CPR on him. It was also said that John had blood coming out of his nose and his mouth, and he had a swollen right black eye. I mean, obviously something had happened to him. John's hat and one of his shoes were missing, and Jennifer ended up bringing blankets from her car while she called 911. Officers quickly arrived, followed by an ambulance that took John to the hospital, where he was pronounced deceased at 7:50 a.m. The medical examiner noted several abrasions on John's right arm, 2 swollen black eyes, a small cut above his right eye, and a cut on the side of his left nose. And he also had a 2-inch cut on the back of his head.
Yeah. Hey, Tom. So listen, I give honorary wrenches here from time to time where I would just, other creators who I like and respect, I just give them a wrench just in case I have to slow chat down or something like that. And you don't have to wait. You don't have to do any work, man. I'm just saying, you don't have to tell people to hit the thumbs up unless you want to. That's fine. But I'm saying, don't think that I gave you a wrench expecting you to be obligated to do anything with the wrench, So it's just there because you're Tom, man. That's all. That's all that is. So welcome to the Glare family.
His head. He had multiple skull fractures that caused brain bleeding, and his pancreas indicated hypothermia that contributed to his death. So he was clearly all kinds of beat up and then seemingly froze to death on top of it. The cause of death, however, is listed as undetermined. And this is when a full investigation began. Karen was apparently inconsolable. It is.
See, I'm digging this. I'm digging this. Christina Randall's looking at all the things that they don't want you to look at, but she's looking at them and she's pointing them out.
Said that she laid on her parents' couch for 3 days straight after what happened. Karen said that she had to get sleeping medication from a doctor, and she also found herself a lawyer, and the lawyer's name is David Yannetti. State Police Trooper Michael Proctor, who was in charge of the investigation, came and asked Karen questions, which she answered willingly. The fourth day, when Karen went back to her own home, because remember, she was laying on her parents' couch for the first 3 days, when she went back to her own home was the same day that Karen says that she was talking on the phone with a close friend when her home was completely swarmed by police officers. At 7:40 p.m., Karen ended up being arrested for manslaughter. And get this, y'all. In the charging documents were witness statements from Jennifer and Carrie. So these women that were helping her do CPR and all of that, they were on the witness statements that got her arrested. Jennifer said in her witness statement that Karen had told her that she had last seen John at the bar that night before, and that her and John had gotten into a fight, and also that she didn't remember dropping him off at the house at 34 Fairview. Okay. Now, according to Carrie's statement, Carrie said that Karen was so drunk that night that she told Carrie in the morning that she didn't remember anything from the night before, but that she did wonder if John had been run over by a snowplow. Like, that's weird. Okay. Carrie also said that Karen still seemed drunk that morning when she was out looking for John. And Carrie also added that before her, Karen and Jennifer found John, that Karen showed them a cracked right taillight, saying that she had no idea how it happened the night before. Okay, so yeah, it would seem a little strange if all of those things were said to these women, right? She didn't remember really where she dropped him off. He might have got run over by a snowplow. She got a cracked taillight. She don't know how it happened. And then all of a sudden they find him in this condition. Okay. Also, the charging documents said that an EMT allegedly overheard Karen saying, "I hit him, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him." The Canton police found a broken drinking glass and multiple red splatters in the snow near John's body. They also found a piece of plastic, 2 red pieces, and 1 clear in the same area as his body was found. They say that those pieces were consistent with Karen's broken taillight. Now, law enforcement impounded Karen's car and did find that it ended up having a broken glass lodged in the rear bumper and a deep scratch and a dent on the right side of the.
Now, in theory, let me just interrupt this for a second. Now, in theory, I would think that, of course, you know, if you're a cop, you've got experience in knowing when someone's a liar, right? It's your job, right? There would be experience if you're a cop, or let's say you're a lawyer, or, you know, corrections officer or whatever. I would think that as an ex-con, as someone who did time, Christina Randall has been to prison. I don't know what for. But yeah, there was no dent in the bumper. She got that wrong. But I would think that she knows the difference between she's got a pretty good radar, I would say, is a better way to put it. Pretty good radar of who's guilty and who's innocent. But and probably she's probably seen 1 or 2 people in her lifetime who have been railroaded by the cops, because it's not an uncommon thing. It does happen, you know. It does absolutely happen. So, you know, I don't think that she finds it so hard to believe that the cops could have railroaded her. And I'm pretty sure she probably went into this case thinking, let's see if the cops railroaded her, instead of like, what? Cops railroaded her? Because that's what I did. I went to this cops going, yeah. I went to this case going, yeah, the cops railroaded her. Right. Okay. Yeah. Big conspiracy with cops. Ooh. And then sure enough, like, I'm like, what the fuck is going on? So I you know, again, I'm still at a point here. It's halfway over, and I'm giving her the benefit of the doubt here, even though there was no dent in the bumper. The only damage to the car at all whatsoever was the taillight. But
of the rear tailgate, and it had 2 scratches plus some chip paint on the right side of the rear bumper. This led investigators to believe that in a drunken state, Karen ended up backing up and struck John and then drove off. Then in a brief statement after Karen's arraignment, Karen's lawyer said that Karen was in complete shock that John's death was just an innocent accident. He said that Karen had no criminal intent. Now, This is where things get crazy, okay? 'Cause
Yeah, I if I had to guess, I would have never guessed it. You know what I mean? I'm sure it was like something victimless. Something victimless, I would assume. She doesn't come off to me as a criminal.
because holy moly, right after Karen's arraignment, as Karen's lawyer was driving home, he returned a call to someone who ended up calling in a tip to his office. A man answered the phone and told Karen's lawyer that Karen was completely innocent. He said that John was beaten up by Brian Albert, the homeowner, the other Boston police officer, okay? He said that Brian and his nephew were trained MMA fighters, okay? This person said that the two of them broke John's nose, and when John didn't come back to consciousness, Brian and a federal agent that was also at the house that night dumped John's body on the front lawn. The federal agent that was at the house that night is a man named Brian Higgins, who is a special agent with the ATF. This Brian Higgins had a previous romantic relationship with Karen before, okay? We also know that Brian Higgins destroyed a cell phone after John's death. That's weird. Okay, why? After all of this and the investigation and being a professional, why would you destroy a cell phone? I don't know. Either way, Karen's lawyer was intrigued by this.
Right. There you go, Christina. Using the old noodle. Because innocent people don't destroy phones.
Tip in all of this information. He started to wonder if Karen was being framed. Because of this, Karen's lawyer hired a private investigator. And this is when things get, I'm telling you guys, buckle up, y'all, because we're going on a ride, okay? The private investigator didn't learn a whole lot other than the fact that someone confirmed Brian's nephew, a 16-year-old boy named Colin, was indeed at the house the night that John passed away. Now, when Karen's lawyer told her what was going on, Karen started remembering things. Karen says one night, back in the spring of 2020, John's security alarm at his house went off. John ended up jumping up out of bed to see what was going on. Karen says that she followed John downstairs and she remembered seeing Colin, the nephew, and several other teenagers in the front yard. Karen says that she heard Colin tell John, "Go F yourself," and John yelling back, "Get the F out of here." Karen says when her and John woke up the next morning, they found a bunch of empty Bud Light beer cans thrown all over their yard. The police were never called, but Karen says from that point forward, John and Colin were never on good terms with each other. Karen even went as far as to saying that Colin is the only person that John ended up having beef with in that town. When Karen's attorney showed her pictures of John's injuries, Karen immediately became suspicious of the injuries on John's arm. In her opinion, she said that these injuries looked like they could have been from like an animal or from a dog. Then she remembered that Brian Albert, who was the homeowner, had a German Shepherd at the time named Chloe that they have since rehomed. Then during a dinner with a friend, Karen found out that the lead investigator on her case, Michael Proctor, knew the Albert family. Karen started to think to herself, like, wouldn't that be a conflict of interest to the investigation? That night, she says that she ended up getting on Facebook and she found a photo taken at Michael's sister's wedding that showed Colin, again the nephew, as their ring bearer. At this point, Karen she was 100% convinced that the beef with Colin started a fight that night. The German Shepherd Chloe got involved and caused the arm injuries, and after the fight was over, they tossed John out into the yard to just die. And not only that, but Karen was now convinced that Michael Proctor.
Now, I seriously doubt that she'll show the pictures of the arm, which is really important. If you're going to cover this case, fuck your little ad revenue fucking bullshit. Just fucking show the pictures of the arm. Like, it's important for people to like determine whether or not they think that those are dog scratches or road rash. Like, seriously.
The lead investigator was pulling strings behind the scenes. Now, the prosecutors, on the other hand,
at least offer a place where you can show them, you know, say, oh, well, over here.
Convinced that Karen was indeed the killer. Okay, they just, that's it. They even got a grand jury involved, and it was concluded that there was indeed enough evidence to charge Karen with second-degree murder, which meant that it was intentional. Then we fast forward to June 9th, and this is when Karen was rearrested for the new charge. In body cam footage from the jail, Karen can be heard.
Oh, I must have been, yeah, maybe I just wasn't paying attention.
Asking the officer that's booking her if he's in on the joke too.
Today, grand jury indicted you on these charges: second-degree murder, victim homicide, and
yeah, my bad. I just probably wasn't paying attention. I've seen the fucking pictures so many times.
Legal scene of death. Okay, so those are the charges the grand jury indicted you on. So now you're being charged and will be arraigned in Superior Court, Norfolk County Superior Court in death. Okay.
Bail doesn't apply anymore?
Typically, I'm not, so we don't set bail. So typically, once murder comes into play, people don't get bailed out.
So it's not manslaughter anymore, it's a difference?
That's correct. It's a higher degree of taking a life. Okay, so that's the charges you're being charged with now. And you were indicted by the grand jury.
Okay, you're aware he was beaten up by Brian from Colin Albert. I mean, we're all in on the same joke, right? My tail light was cracked and John was pulverized.
Okay, you need to abide by the rights that were afforded to your federal. So you can talk if you want. If you want to tell us what happened, that's fine. We'll listen, but you were ready to do your rights, right? And I'm sure he's gonna do it again.
However, Karen was able to make bond, and this time she had a $100,000 bond. With this new charge, however, Karen is facing a life sentence, and it was becoming very serious, according to Karen. So she decided to get a famous defense lawyer, Alan Jackson. Now, Alan is known for defending Harvey Weinstein and Kevin Spacey. This new attorney got right into poking holes in the prosecution's theory. He too did not believe that John's injuries looked like he had been just hit by a car. I mean, to him, it looked more like he had been beaten up and attacked by a dog. And not only that, but he also found out that according to the lead investigator's original affidavit, he said that he got to Karen's parents' house at 4:30 p.m. and towed Karen's car at 5:30 p.m. But Karen's parents' security camera footage actually showed that those times were absolutely wrong. They showed that Karen's car was towed closer to 4:12 p.m. This was over an hour difference. And Karen and her new lawyers, which were the original ones, the one that actually started thinking it was suspicious and hired the private investigator, along with her new lawyers, now believe that this time discrepancy would have given the lead investigator plenty of time alone with her new car to break the taillight even more and plant pieces of it at the home of 34 Fairview before the team that searched the area found them after 5:45 p.m. Now, can you believe that? Then this new attorney says that he found out that Jennifer, okay, remember, Jennifer was one of the women that was with her, also one of the ones that was on the witness statements that got her arrested, said that this Jennifer allegedly made an incriminating Google search on her phone. Jennifer had turned her phone over to the prosecution voluntarily for forensic download. The download allegedly shows that at 2:27 a.m., the night of John's death, Jennifer Googled house long to die in the cold. So the actual search says house, but it seems like the person was trying to Google how long to die in the cold. Pretty freaking weird, right? That was just hours before Karen and Carrie found John in the yard. The same search was allegedly made again at 6:23 a.m. and then again at 6:24 a.m. Yeah. This new attorney also alleges that in security camera footage from John's house, Karen can clearly be seen accidentally backing into John's parked SUV in the driveway the morning of as she's on her way out to Jennifer's house. And he claims that that is where the rear damage on Karen's car came from. And it's crazy when you guys see that because you can clearly see her back up into the SUV and the SUV move because she hit it. I mean, obviously not super hard, which is why there wasn't a ton of damage to her car. However, the prosecution swears that she didn't hit it and she only came close to hitting it. Now, on April 12th of this year, Karen's lawyer submitted his 91-page affidavit that laid out the defense's theory of what that they believe happened that night. They allege that that chick, Jennifer, planted the idea of running John over in Karen's mind. Like we've already talked about, that John was actually beaten by the people in the house that night, and they also believe that they had planted the pieces of her taillight at the scene of the crime. And when this came out, this is when the media went wild. A blogger that goes by the name online Turtle Boy has been posting a lot about this, and he posted a blog about this. He says that he knew immediately after going through that affidavit that Karen was innocent and that she was being completely framed. Okay, now there was so much traffic on his website about this that it actually crashed his whole website. He kept writing more and more articles about this case, and his followers' interest just kept growing. So he started live streaming on YouTube a series called Canton Cover Up. Now, rumors started spreading all throughout this town, which caused a huge divide between residents. It had gotten so intense that the town's police chief released a press statement about it.
The harassment of witnesses and the murder prosecution of Karen Reed is absolutely baseless.
It needs to
It's an
stop.
outrage to any decent person, and it needs to stop. Innuendo is not evidence.
It
False
needs
narrative
to
is not evidence.
stop.
2 weeks later, when Karen showed up to court for her hearing, she could not believe her eyes. There was a crowd outside the courthouse, a crowd of people that were there to support her. And this is what caught my attention. When I saw these people outside chanting, "Free Karen Reed," and holding signs, I was like, what is going on here? Let me dig into this because what in the world?
This team will not quit. Never. The good people of this county will not quit. Never. And I can guarantee you, Karen Reed and her family will never, ever quit. Never. Not until the truth comes out. Not until the John O'Keefe's killers are brought to justice.
Aiden's coverage continued to grow and grow and grow, but it kind of grew to be controversial at the same time. Some would even say it grew to be hateful. And at one point, Aiden traveled to Canton to specifically confront the people that he says are responsible for John's death. One of those people being none other than that chick we talked about, Jennifer. Aiden went to Jennifer's daughter's high school lacrosse game and asked Jennifer things like, "Are you worried about what's going to happen to your family when you go to jail?" And Aiden live streamed the whole thing and that whole interaction. Allegedly, some of his followers were even messaging Jennifer like all these terrible messages and telling her things like to go end yourself. Aiden even held a rally of more than 100 people where they passed around markers to write catchphrases on their cars like "How's long for justice," like the Google search, the HOS, right?
We got it.
Google
Thank
search.
you. Yes.
They drove their cars through the streets of Canton and then to Brian Albert's house, that homeowner, okay? And they drove it to Michael Proctor's house, who is the lead investigator, and Jennifer's house. At each stop, Aiden shouted things through a blowhorn at their homes, and other people were honking their horns the whole time. And all of this ended up being live streamed. And all of this was going on while this Aiden/Turtle Boy was having his own legal issues. He has since been arrested and indicted on more than 15 felony charges involving witness intimidation and conspiracy. He ended up serving 60 days in jail for violating a protective order, but now he's free on his own, like, recognizance. Like, you guys, this is going on. This event has been really going down in the little town of Canton. Now, while Aiden's reportings have been called controversial, a lot of people have said that regardless, he has been steadfast in his reporting of Karen's case, and there's no way that this case would have gotten the attention that it has gotten without him. So you got this,
true.
this teeter of opinions. Like some people are saying, yeah, he's gone overboard. Maybe he shouldn't have done these things. However, if what the defense is saying is true, maybe Karen wouldn't have had a chance without all the attention on the case that's being brought there. That's some people's opinions. Now let's move back to Karen's case. Okay. So more recently, the prosecution has been asking the court to give them permission to access Karen's phone to pull all of the data from it. They haven't gotten permission though, because it contains privileged communication between Karen and her lawyers. And I want to say right now that that's what ended up happening with Johnny Depp. Okay. So Johnny Depp turned over 10 years of his cell phone text messages. Amber Heard turned over none. They combed through 10 years of text messages and could pick out any little thing. And now they wanted Karen Reed's whole entire phone database. And the defense is saying like, no, you can't, because they're texting back and forth about the defense. Then the prosecution can read everything that they're communicating about. Now, there are many theories surrounding this case. So let's talk about some of them. Now, of course, there's a defense's theory, which we've already talked about. And while it sounds interesting, not all of it quite adds up. See, John's home security cameras recorded 15 events between 6 p.m., the night that he passed away, and 6 a.m. But none of them show Karen coming home that night. However, this footage has allegedly since been lost, which that's a little suspicious, okay? It's a little suspicious. Then there's an interview Colin Albert gave. Colin says that the night of the incident, he was actually walking out of his house at 30 Fairview right when Brian was walking in. Colin says that he said hello, got into a car, and then he left. Now, according to court documents, no one else, including John, had showed up to the house yet, and that was around 12:10 a.m. Then Colin's parents said that once he got home, he was home for the rest of the night that night. Not to mention, nearly everyone else at the house that night testified at the grand jury hearing that John never came inside the house. Also, according to many people in town who knew John and Colin, they say that there was no beef between the two of them. Some even say that story that Karen told about Colin showing up in John's yard in the middle of the night, cussing him out and leaving all those beer cans, that none of that was even true. It was a different boy, a completely different boy entirely. And as far as Brian's German Shepherd, a source says that Brian rehomed his dog after she got into a fight with another dog. Brian also sold his family home after the incident, a home that had been kept in his family for generations. It is also said that the basement floor was ripped up before it was sold. Then a spokesperson for the DA's office said that the lead investigator's time discrepancy regarding the towing of Karen's car was a simple error that was corrected later in filings. The DA also confirmed that he was never alone with Karen's car and never returned to the home of 34 Fairview after it was towed, returned to plant that evidence. The prosecution has also since come out and said that they found microscopic pieces of taillight on John's shirt, and that they didn't find any traces of taillight in John's driveway or any damage to his car. They would expect to if Karen had in fact backed into John's car as she was leaving the house that morning. Now, again, we watched the video. You guys make your own opinion. A jury's going to have to make their opinion on that part as well. As far as Jennifer's Google search, the state's forensic expert says the timestamp of 2:27 a.m. was only because of Jennifer's typing into the search bar of a tab that was open at 2:27 a.m. and that she left it open. The expert says that this does not prove that the search itself was made at 2:27 a.m. But you gotta admit, that's a really, really weird coinkydink. Okay? Not to mention, Karen had changed her story a few times. Okay? So Karen didn't just have the straight story the whole entire time. John's niece, the one that lived with John and the one that Karen woke up to call Jennifer, said to the investigators that in the moment, Karen changed her story multiple times as well. Karen also told the lead investigator that she dropped John off at the house and went home because she wasn't feeling well, and said that she never actually saw him go in the house. But during a media interview, Karen said that she saw John go inside and that she waited at least 10 minutes to make sure everything was okay and for her to come inside, but that she never heard from him. So she went ahead and went home.
I said, can we make sure we're welcome here? Nobody extended the invite to me. I didn't hear the invite extended to you. So I pull at the foot of the driveway. It's snowing. John has no coat on. It's windy. So I drop him off. He goes up the driveway and approaches the side door. And as I see him approach the door, I look down at my phone.
Reed says after about 10 minutes of waiting in her car, she became irritated that O'Keefe still hadn't gotten in touch with her, and she drove back to his home where she continued calling him before she says she fell asleep around 1:30 in the morning.
Also, Karen has insisted that her and John were completely happy in their relationship, but cell phone data shows that Karen called John over 50 times that night and left him several angry voicemails screaming at him, saying that she hated him. It's also important to keep in mind that we don't know all of the evidence that the state has yet. Okay, so we don't know what all they have. We just know what was on the affidavit. Basically, like the same way in the situation with Brian Koberger. We know what was in the arrest affidavit. We know all the rumors swirling around, but we don't know everything that the prosecution has against him, and we don't know everything that the prosecution has against Karen. Something else that I think is pretty darn interesting is that
I don't know. I'd say it's pretty obvious what the prosecution has and what they plan to use. Yeah. Sorry, Christina, but
U.S. Attorney's Office is also investigating this case to see if there's any actual law enforcement cover-up going on. Like, if it's going on, y'all better watch y'all's backs because there's more people getting involved now. Now, they will not confirm anything, though, and it is said that they ended up getting a whole separate grand jury together, and they ended up calling the same witnesses, but they had a totally separate grand jury, which... I've never heard of them doing this before. Why would they even do this if they weren't even just like a little bit suspicious that something else was going on while they were investigating? Okay. Sources even told the media that the FBI interviewed everyone that was at the house that night, and at least one witness allegedly said that John was there, that John did go inside and he had been there, even though the majority said that he wasn't. And it's interesting that one said that he was. Now, it has also come out that the state police are investigating the lead investigator, Michael Proctor. They say that they're investigating a potential violation, but Michael remains on full duty the whole time. So he allegedly is under investigation, but he's still working on this case. Now, Karen's trial is supposed to start with jury selection on April 16th. However, by the time you guys watch this, it will be past the 16th. So hopefully the jury is being selected. So jury selection is supposed to start, and then the trial is supposed to start. And when I tell y'all that I'm going to be watching this, I'm going to be watching this. Have y'all heard about this? Is this not crazy? I'll tell y'all right now, I don't know what to think. I don't know what to think. But an unbiased jury cannot convict a person if they don't believe something without a reasonable doubt. I say an unbiased jury. Okay. So what do you guys think? Are you going to be watching this? Do you think she did it? Do you think it's a cover up? What do you think? Y'all let me know in the comment section down below. Other than that, I love you guys. Thank y'all for watching this video, and I will see y'all in the next one. Love you guys. Bye.
all right. Let me do something for old Christina here. Hi, Christina. Great video. I shouldn't have capitalized that. Great video. Here is everything you need to properly. Did I spell that poorly? Did I spell that wrong? Hold on, let me see. There we go. Properly research this case. And there we go. And so hopefully she finds that helpful. Because I think that she wants to get to the truth. Like, isn't it so sad that I'm just grateful? Yeah, Haas dyslexic as Will. That's great. Yeah, because dyslexic as fuck. So I feel like Christina genuinely wants to get to the truth in this case. I don't think that she's got a narrative in mind that she's trying to throw out there. I think she's being fair. She might have gotten one or two, three details wrong. I get those wrong. I get details wrong every time I talk about this case. Happens every time. It doesn't mean that she's not interested in the truth. So I figure I'd throw that little comment in there with the sleuthy goosey spreadsheet. it's very public, and hopefully Christina and her listeners can look into all of the stuff about the case, because, you know, we want bigger creators to have all of the facts, don't we? So yeah, let me go to our next video here. Why do I get the feeling that this is going to piss me off? Because I haven't watched this yet either. So let's take a gander at this.
This hour, we're gearing up for this fast approaching case by bringing you the 5 best moments from that fiery pretrial hearing on Friday. Now, we're going to start with the defense's arguments. The defense team is arguing that Officer John O'Keefe was killed at a house party. Take a look.
Defendant has stood here, defense counsel has stood in this court repeatedly.
Okay, to answer that question, what is that a Google link to? I just dropped it in the chat again. So baby fishes, all you have to do, click on that link that I just dropped. That has all of the information that you need as far as court documents, witness statements, court hearing links. All of that stuff is in there. So everything you need in order to catch up properly on this case and to form your own opinion, not anyone else's, your own opinion. Like I said, that spreadsheet contains nothing but court documents, official documents, court documents, and witness statements. So knock yourself out. It has a who's who on it, everything that you possibly need in order to create your own opinion on this case.
Stood here and in other venues and in their pleadings, espousing various third-party culprit theories or scenarios. But now that it's time to actually try the case in the courtroom, I don't have a motion from the defense to admit third-party culprit testimony. So, and as you're well aware, I have to make findings before any mention of any third-party culprit evidence or even an opening goes before the jurors. You know, in order to admit it, given that I have no information at all, I mean, I don't know who the third-party culprit is, even after reading 4,500 pages of discovery. I don't know what motive a third-party culprit might have. I don't know how it's relevant. I don't know if it's remote or if it's current. I don't know if it's speculative or if it's relevant. I don't know if it will prejudice or confuse the jury. And if it's hearsay, I have a whole other series of factors I have to consider. So, Mr. Yannetti, are you pursuing a third-party culprit defense?
We are, Your Honor, and I'm prepared to address that. The Commonwealth has raised the issue, and I am prepared to address that today.
So you filed your motions first, and you did not raise it. So if the Commonwealth had not raised it, you did not move to introduce it, correct? I have no motion from.
No, I understand. I understand, Your Honor. If you'd like something in writing for us, we can do that. I have a
But you just said he filed the motion first.
full argument prepared.
All right, so who is the third-party culprit?
We are under no obligation to name any specific third-party culprit.
How
There
am I
you
supposed-
go.
So you're prepared to argue all this?
I'm prepared to argue it.
All right, so we will get to that when we get to the Commonwealth's motion.
That's fine.
Now, the second thing I want to address, because again, it's very important at this point, the motion regarding the DNA, regarding excluding the DNA. Mr. Lally, why should I not allow that motion?
For a couple of reasons, Your Honor. Number one, what I can provide to the court by way of update is that most of the testing with regard to that item is complete. So first and foremost, the item is hair. That was confirmed by the Bodie testing prior to them conducting any sort of mitochondrial testing. The mitochondrial profile, the partial profile that was generated in regard to the hair sample is complete. The mitochondrial DNA profile in regard to Mr. O'Keefe's sample is complete. The preliminary analysis that I received by way of email from Bodie yesterday indicated that they were consistent with each other. I asked for some sort of preliminary report or something that I could share with counsel based on their lab's accreditation. That does not permit them to release anything by way of a report prior to it going through a full review process. My understanding is that not only that process, but the entire lab file should be produced by Tuesday. On top of that, what I would say as far as any sort of prejudice, the defendant appears that they've suffered as a result of that. There is still zero reciprocal discovery that I've received in regard to anything from counsel. And then part of the delay, at least a portion of the delay in this specific testing, as the court is aware, as you've had a chance to review Bodie Technologies' observance policy as far as outside experts, there was a significant delay in hearing from counsel and for the defendant in regard to whether or not they wish to have someone present prior.
How long a delay?
I believe it was at least several weeks, if not a month. I mean, we spoke about it in person in December, and I don't believe that.
My order was in November.
Correct. So when we received your order was in November. What took a little time on our part was to get the samples taken from the troopers in regard to the other testing, and in order to get all of those items shipped and transported from the MSBCL to Wharton, Virginia to Bodie.
When was that done?
Late November.
All right, let's talk some more about this case. Boy, what a power panel this is here. I have Matt Johnson, Court TV crime and justice correspondent, in the studio, standing by remotely. I have attorney and trial advocacy professor Dante Mills with us, and Lieutenant Randy Sutton with us as well. Boy, oh boy, great to talk to you all. Okay, let's just start a little bit with you, Matt, here. This hearing on Friday, in terms of what was a bombshell, what really jumped out? Would you say to you, reporting on this case, it was the third-party culprit stuff?
I think so, because that's what led us to our breaking news on Wednesday, that the defense team cannot use any of that during opening statements. And really, we saw the backdrop of why she made that decision just now in Friday's hearing, because she was questioning them of why they didn't submit enough, evidence that they hope to present for her to rule on that.
Right. Has to be relevant evidence, has to be...
No, what Bev wanted, straight up, which is what she said out loud in open court, who is your third-party culprit? She wanted him to name the third-party culprit right then and there. That's why that's the information she wanted on in order to rule on it. And he's like, we don't have to fucking tell you who the third-party culprit is. We don't have to tell you. So, no, don't twist this. I mean, it doesn't take a lawyer. You know what I mean? Like, clearly, that's what Bev wanted. She wanted the third-party culprit named in open court. That's what she was aiming for.
Evidence that has substance to it. It can't just be, oh, it was this person. You got to back it up. It has to be backed up in order for it to come in. Competent evidence. So we'll see what they've got. Not being able to say it in the opens. I'm sure they are devastated about this. Professor Mills, okay, tapping into your experience as a trial professor and as a criminal defense attorney, I want to make clear the distinction between a third-party culprit defense versus just it wasn't me defense, it was somebody else. Would you kind of walk us through the big distinction and why the law has to be really particular in this area in order for the judge to let it in?
Yeah,
absolutely. And just so we understand,
that was the first I heard of that too. Because I saw a couple of comments about this. This is going back to Christina Randall's video. Randall's video, she claims that there was one person in the house that claims that John was in the house. It's the first time hearing of that. I mean, I'm not saying it didn't happen. I'm saying, why have I not heard of that yet? Who is claiming that John was in the house? Which one of the members of 34 Fairview that night are testifying that John was in the house? Curious.
And in a criminal defense case, if you're defending yourself, you don't have to prove anything, right? The prosecution has to prove that you are guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. Your job as a defense attorney is not necessarily to prove anything. So you saying it wasn't me is essentially casting doubt on the burden of the prosecution. If you're trying to bring in a third-party culprit defense, it's a little further. It changes the burden a little bit, where you have to show that it's reasonably based. The rule is there because you are not allowed to just come in and just start naming people who may have committed a crime without any evidence to back it up. That's what that hearing was for last week, where the judge wanted to know, what evidence do you have? What can you show us to show that this allegation of a third party is reasonably based in facts and evidence? And that's obviously what they have some issues doing. So the judge said they can't talk about this in opening because the judge isn't impressed enough with the substance that they have behind it. But as the trial goes on, if they bring out testimony that supports this third party culprit defense, then the judge can then open the door and allow them to bring this evidence in to show that not only was it not me, it was somebody else. That's that next step that they want to go to. But there's a screening process before they can get there.
Beautifully said, Dante. Thank you for that. And so here they were given an opportunity. The defense team was given plenty of latitude to go into whatever supportive evidence they had. And you're going to see in the show, we'll replay the clip. It just wasn't, it was, these people were at the house party.
Because that's been my argument this whole fucking time. Why is this the first lawyer on court TV to say the same shit? You know what I mean? Like, I mean, I'm not a lawyer. So that's what I figured this whole time. Was like, well, I'm not a lawyer, so I don't expect them all to fucking say the same thing that I've been saying, which is the prosecution are the ones who have the burden of proof. The defense doesn't have to prove anything. The defense doesn't have to prove jack shit. Yet, this is the first lawyer that I'm seeing on court TV that expresses this one simple fact. Why?
but it wasn't saying these people had a motive, opportunity, the means to kill Officer John O'Keefe and to try to cover it up, leaving his body in the snow, according to the defense theory. I've got a clip where David Yannetti, who's one of Karen Reed's defense attorneys, was asked point blank by the judge, who's your third-party culprit? Who is it? Here's your chance. Lieutenant Randy Sutton, I'm going to come to you on the other side of this clip. Take a look at what he says to the judge when given the opportunity to say with specificity who it was that murdered the officer.
Mr. Yannetti, are you pursuing a third-party culprit defense?
We are, Your Honor, and I'm prepared to address that. The Commonwealth has raised the issue, and I am prepared to address that today.
So you filed your motions first, and you did not raise it. So if the Commonwealth had not raised it, you did not move to introduce it, correct? I have no motion from.
No, I understand. I understand, Your Honor. If you'd like something in writing for us, we can do that. I have a full argument prepared.
All right. So who is the third-party culprit?
We are under no obligation to name any specific third-party culprit.
Lieutenant Randy Sutton, what'd you think of that?
I call that a tap dance.
I agree with you, Lieutenant.
It sounds like they're playing a game of Clue here. I'm not impressed with what the defense is doing here. They're throwing a massive smoke screen up, and I think they're really playing to the media and playing to the people that are outside that courtroom chanting her name in support, which I find a little strange to begin with as well. So far, the prosecution.
Yeah, it's very strange because that's not what they're doing. Like, of course, it's strange. Of course. To say that they were that they're playing a tap dance and just trying to impress the people outside and have no, are not focused in any way, shape, or form on presenting their case to the court itself, but to the people in the court of public opinion that's outside of the courthouse, right? Well, yeah, of course that's weird because it's not fucking happening. That's not what they're doing. That's ridiculous. It's stupid. Like, because here, this guy's going, oh, well, I see a tap dance. And then this lady like, I agree with you. Well, yeah, guess what? You're saying these things, leaving out all the things that Yannetti ends up presenting to the court minutes later. Minutes later, Yannetti explains absolutely that Brian Higgins had means, motive, and opportunity. So did Brian Albert. So did Colin Albert. Period. Full stop. Okay? Period. Full stop. So this is not a tap dance. There is a method to this madness. And it is not weird. Okay? It is not weird that they're playing a tap dance. They're not playing a tap dance. It would be weird if they were, but they're not.
Prosecution looks like it's in pretty good shape. The motions that have been put before the court by the defense are very, very shaky. So it's be interesting to see how they purport themselves as this trial continues.
Isn't that the truth, Lieutenant? I'm with you. I see a big, giant smoke screen, and I think that this defense team tried very hard to get this case kicked before trial. I think that was their mission from the outset. Let's create as much of a scene and chaos and make this seem like this woman is being framed to try to get rid of it. I think they've done everything in their power to do that, and now that it's gone forward, it's like, oh boy, here we are. We don't know what to say. Tap dance. Go ahead, Matt.
Well, what I was going to add to that, yes, it's unusual to see protesters out in front for a defendant, especially a defendant that's an accused cop killer. But it's also unusual in this case that you don't have police in uniform during the hearings in support of their fallen friend.
Yeah. The judge restricted that.
Yeah, but not during the pretrial hearings.
Right.
I know there have been police in the courtroom every hearing. I do know that.
Yeah, but usually, in cases that I've...
this lady has got a fucking agenda. You see her? She's like, wait a minute. What the fuck are you doing? What kind of curveball are you throwing here? Like, what do you think you're doing here, bro? I love this guy. Hold on. Let's watch that reaction from her one more time. She didn't know how to handle that shit.
Accused cop killer. But it's also unusual in this case that you don't have police in uniform during the hearings in support of their fallen friend.
The judge restricted that.
Yeah, but not during the pretrial hearings.
I know.
It's also unusual.
It is fucking great to me, bro. But not during the pretrial hearing. She's like, the judge restricted that. The judge restricted that. And my man just like lets her know, not during the pretrial hearings. Let's do that one more time. Ready?
Unusual in this case that you don't have police in uniform during the hearings in support of their fallen friend.
The judge restricted that.
Yeah, but not during the pretrial hearings.
I know there have been police in the courtroom every hearing. I do know that.
Yeah, but usually, in cases that I've covered in California and elsewhere, there is like a line of police in the gallery. I haven't seen that in the hearings that I've covered. in uniform. And yes, you're right. The judge did restrict that for the trial.
Yeah.
You know, observers and witnesses cannot wear their uniform in the gallery, just like Karen Reed supporters can't wear buttons or T-shirts.
Yeah, that's.
There could have been an order given by the agency. That happens very often. That doesn't have to come from a judge. It can come internally from the agency itself.
Oh, appreciate that.
That would make
Lieutenant.
sense, especially because the agency was under attack by the community, some members of, you know, in questioning.
That happens very often.
Yeah, that's.
There could have been an order given by the agency. That happens very often. That doesn't have to come from a judge. It can come internally from the agency itself.
Oh, appreciate that.
That would make
Lieutenant.
sense, especially because the agency was under attack by the community, some members of, you know, in questioning.
Yeah. So basically, this officer who's up here, he's saying that there was probably an order from some higher level up, you know, member of the Boston Police Department who was like, nobody show up to support your brother in blue at the courtroom. Which, come on, man, give me a fucking break, dude. Really? Give me a fucking break. You know, like, and I gotta understand, like maybe Scott can help me out here because I know Scott is retired law enforcement. I'd really love to hear what he has to say about this and chime in on what that, you know, I'd love to hear him chime in on that because I don't know, man. I call bullshit. I call bullshit. I mean, it might be a thing. It might be a thing. And guys, make sure to log on to Tom CPU. Tom CPU, you could drop a link to your channel. And if you have your live set already, drop the link to your live in the chat. Tom CPU will be streaming from outside the courthouse as he does every single hearing relentlessly. And so he will be streaming outside the courthouse. So make sure to watch him. And then, of course, I will be going live to stream everything. And I'll even be checking in on Tom and what he's doing out there. So please make sure to subscribe to Tom CPU and give his video a like. And Paul will be out there as always too. And Tom will be streaming at 7 a.m. So, yeah.
And who knows? Yeah, and who knows what their juices, their reasoning. Yeah, if anyone's being paid to stand out there with.
No, not necessarily, Scott. But if you just tell me what you think, as you know, as briefly as you can in the chat. Basically, like let's say you got an order from that. Let's say if you were in this situation, you just happened to be a police officer and this situation was happening, and you wanted to show up in uniform to support the memory of your fallen brother officer. And then, you know, let's say your police chief says, hey, you can't do that. Like, how do you think that people are going to react to that? What happens inside the department when that happens? What's the morale like?
A lot of questions about this. We're going to talk some more. We just got to hit our break. When we come back, prosecutors present a motion for body camera evidence.
Oh, my goodness. Wait, what? This changes everything, folks. The entire mood of this live stream has just shifted, folks.
I think we got a super dad. Super dad. I think we got a super dad. Super dad. Super dad. Super dad. I think we got a super dad. I think we got a super dad.
Miss Bell, thank you so much. Watch that lieutenant and other vids, and cops do no wrong. Fuck him. Right on. And Scott says, thank you so much, Miss Bell. Appreciate it. And Scott says, none of our chiefs would ever say that unless the cop was dirty. Unless the cop was dirty, right? John O'Keefe is not dirty. So, I mean, yeah, it just wouldn't happen. It just wouldn't happen. I can't imagine any fucking any law enforcement agent who has a high ranking position. I just don't see them telling everybody else, like, no, you can't be a cop on your off time as far as like showing support for other cops. You can't do that. Like, get out of my face. What do you mean? I can't show up to a courtroom and wear my uniform and just stand there? What? What? It sounds crazy. It sounds crazy.
Including alarming and very damaging statements that Karen Reed made. You're going to hear who she points the blame on her boyfriend's death to when she's taken into custody. We'll be right back.
We are underway in the trial of Doomsday Prophet Chad Daybell.
Prosecutors say they will seek the death penalty against him.
Investigators have recovered.
I get what you're saying, Scott. You're saying they can do it. It's just they wouldn't. Chances are they wouldn't do it. Like, there's just no, like, they can absolutely do it, but it's weird that they would, right? Fair to say that it's suspicious in some way, shape, or form that they would be instructed to not show up to support a fellow officer. That it just doesn't add up. Thank you, Scott. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Claiming that there is a wide-ranging cover-up going on involving everyone from police to first responders to the district attorney's office. She's claiming she's the victim. She's saying she's at the center of a plot to frame, to be framed rather, for the death of her boyfriend, which she admitted to hitting him at the scene. By the way,
This lady is fucking exhausting, bro.
admitted to hitting him at the scene when he was found in the snow in middle of January on the morning of a nor'easter. Now, during the final pretrial hearing, the issue of her statements came up again, and not the I hit him statements, not those. These are some statements we hadn't heard before Friday. Statements caught on body camera video when state police rearrested her after the grand jury heard the evidence and decided to indict her on murder charges. Remember, police just charged her for manslaughter. It was the grand jury, after hearing from over 40 witnesses, that said, no, it's murder here. They voted for a true bill there. And so here in this video, she's arrested. She's sitting at the station with a trooper. Listen to what she says about what happened to John O'Keefe.
The defendant's arrest post-indictment by the grand jury in this case. It was June 9th, 2022.
So that's why I have not seen the video itself.
Correct. And that's certainly something that the Commonwealth can provide for the court. But essentially, when she's arrested and during the booking process at the Milton State Police Barracks, the troopers who conducted that arrest were wearing body-worn camera pursuant to their BWC policy with the state police. Counsel has a copy of the policy, counsel has a copy of the video. And essentially, there are a number of different statements which provide sort of third, fourth, fifth, sixth, I'm not sure what number we're up to at this point, of sort of varying accounts that the defendant has provided to
Can you
numerous
give me an idea now? Do you know the substance?
So the substance of these particular statements is the defendant, Ms. Reed, continuously is told by Sergeant Buchanan to essentially stop talking. He's advised her of Miranda and advised her to stop making statements, and repeatedly states that to her during the course of her making statements. But the sum and substance of it is she says something to the effect of, are you in on the joke? And then makes some sort of reference to having witnessed Brian Albert and Colin Albert essentially smash John O'Keefe's head into the taillight, indicating that that's how her taillight was broken. Doesn't make any sort of further statement.
She didn't say anything to that effect at all. She didn't say anything to that effect at all.
It's about why she would then leave the scene after that occurred or anything like that. But these are, again, different accounts that have been made in direct variance to prior statements that she made January 29th to the troopers, to paramedics, to treating medical professionals, to Ms. Roberts, to Ms. McCabe. To,
that's the thing. Going back to like Christina Randall and those, you got to understand these other true crime people, man, that they're just trying to jump onto a genre here. They're trying to capitalize on a genre. That's it. Yes, and they are all trying to be Nancy Grace. They are all trying to get to Nancy Grace level stardom. That is it. Like, I Christina Randall's on my fucking TV. Like, I have I have a smart TV where like there's a channel on my TV that just fucking plays nonstop Christina Randall. You know what I mean? Like, so it's you got to understand, like, these people are they're not going to get all the facts because they're not going to be as passionate about the facts as you are. You know what I mean?
Piece of Mr. O'Keefe to a whole other sort of slew and variety of people with a different sort of variation on what transpired each time. So it's sort of inextricably intertwined with the fact that she's in custody.
How so? Is she in handcuffs? Is she in a
She's
cell?
seated at the booking desk or the booking rail in the state police barracks. So I mean, I don't need to make direct reference to it. It's just, again, it's something out of abundance of caution based on sort of where it is and when it is that the statements are made, that it may naturally sort of come out as far as if the court wishes. I think it's something that the court can cure by issuing a curative instruction if there's any prejudice to be suffered by the defendant. But again, it is a statement by the defendant, which is admissible, as the court is well aware. And then it is sort of in the confines or in the context of her being in custody when she makes that statement. I certainly wouldn't be trying to elicit testimony that she was in custody, but it is kind of apparent that she is.
Can you have that here for this afternoon?
Yes, I can arrange for that.
So we can see it?
Sure.
All right, what's the defendant's position here?
Yeah, so I have evidence that Karen Reed said that something to the effect that that she witnessed Colin Albert and Brian Albert smash Mr. O'Keefe's head into the taillight, smashing it. It's not what she said. Okay, can you provide that video? Yeah, I can arrange for that this afternoon. Just keep in mind, Your Honor, that it's going to say something completely fucking different.
For the record, it's a little bit lengthy as far as the entirety of the video. The portion that I would be submitting to the court is from 7 minutes and 4 seconds until 9 minutes and 55 seconds.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Can you explain to me what the process is right now?
Absolutely. So you're going to be that's what just like last time. Go through the same process. It's going to be a little less time consuming. They're not going to do major case prints as we did last time. Once you're booked and you go through this portion of it, we'll let you make a phone call just like last time. You'll make a phone call. Your parents will be able to bring you whatever other additional needs, things that you need.
Has Nancy Grace reported on this? That's a good question. I don't know, but she will. She will. I promise you that she will. And I am telling you, here's the thing. If she has reported on it, she's doing it Coffindoffer style. Okay? I'm calling it right now. I haven't seen it, but if Nancy Grace has talked about this case, she's done it Coffindoffer style. If she hasn't talked about this case, she's going to wait until the whole world is already talking about this case and her producers go, you need to talk about this, and it looks like cops are dirty, because by the time she gets a hold of it, there's going to be enough evidence and it's going to be safe. Nancy Grace is going to be in her little safe place to where she gets to be all loud on her on her platform and go, oh my God, these cops and all of this corruption. If you wear a badge, you have a responsibility. You have a responsibility to uphold the law. You're setting a dangerous precedent. You're setting a dangerous precedent for all cases. We rely on law enforcement officers to uphold the law and find and gather evidence and not violate the rights of everybody, because everybody is innocent until proven guilty, unless it's any other case that I talk about on my show where everybody's guilty until they're proven innocent. So, but in this case, she's going to be innocent until proven guilty, just so everybody knows. Okay? Just know it.
Yeah. And then tomorrow morning, you'll go and be arraigned at the Norfolk Superior Court on the charges that were. I'm sure you'll go over the charges again with you on more.
But I'm on bail, so how can I be coming in here again?
All right, so I'll explain that portion to you, as long as it's not going to interfere with you. Are you ready to go?
Yeah, I'm just waiting for a ramp to.
Okay. So initially, your arrest was on probable cause of the district court. Okay. So the charges you were arrested on initially were at the district court, still in district. That's what the agreement was. It was district level charges. Today, grand jury indicted you on these
I actually forgot to eat one. I actually forgot to eat one before I started this stream, so I'm actually like stone sober right now, which should disturb all of you.
Second-degree murder, vehicle homicide, and leaving the scene of the death. Okay, so those are the charges the grand jury did. So now you're being charged and will be raised in Superior Court, Norfolk County Superior Court in death. Okay. So bail doesn't apply anymore? Typically, I'm not, so we don't set a bail, but typically once murder comes into play, people don't get bailed. So it's not manslaughter anymore, is that the difference? That's correct, it's a higher degree of taking away. Okay, so that's the charges you're being charged with now, and you were indicted by great jury. Okay, you're aware he was beaten up by Brian Compound. I mean, we're all in on the same joke, right? My taillight is cracked and John is polarized. Okay, you need to abide by the rights that were afforded to you, okay? So you can talk if you want. If you want to talk to us what happened, that's fine. We'll listen, but you were ready to do your rights, right? And I'm sure he's gonna do it again. All right, if you want to talk to us, you want to give us a story, definitely.
All right. So the judge, in terms of ruling on this admissibility and whether or not it can be known that she was detained, Matt, do we know anything yet?
So that's what we're waiting for. There are a number of motions that are going to be key for this case that we're waiting for, including statements made for state of mind, which this could include, statements made to the media, and also her hospital records, what she may have said there at that time. But I did want to mention the fact that, unlike the Doorman case that we covered, this officer did the right thing. They kept on reminding her of the Miranda.
Right. The Chad Doorman case in Ohio where the confession got tossed. You're right, from not properly advising the defendant of his rights. Thank you for that, Matt. I want to talk about this video and how it may be helpful or harmful to both sides. So I'd like to ask Randy and Dante to take different sides respectively. Dante, looking at this from the defense side, how concerned would you be? What would you want in terms of whether it comes in or exclusions? We heard the prosecutor mention a curative instruction. Your thoughts on all of this, please.
Yes, this video can be key. And if I'm the defendant, I don't want this to come in. Any statements that she made is going to lock her into a story, and especially if their theory is something else happened that's not a part of that. And they're already on thin ice with the substance that they have for their third party culprit. Her saying anything that ties her to it or corroborates anything that the prosecution is saying is very damaging. It's very interesting in this particular case because the judge is a gatekeeper of information, and the jury won't see any of this if the judge doesn't allow. So all of this can exist, and if the judge says it doesn't come in and the jury doesn't hear these confessions, then that's a huge piece of the case that's missing, and it will impact the outcome. It could impact the outcome because if they don't hear these types of statements, it's less likely that they'll convict her. So I think statements like this are pivotal, and if I'm the defendant, I'm trying by any means necessary to keep these statements out.
Right, Dante, definitely. And I don't like the idea of a curative instruction. I'd rather do something like sever the video from the audio and isolate the audio so that just the important information, about where she's saying that this fight happened and that's how her taillight got cracked, that comes in versus talking about her bail, things that indicate she's under arrest and detained and could prejudice the jury against her. Lieutenant Randy Sutton, tell me, this was a bombshell in court on Friday.
This must be what it's like for because I enjoy sports, but I'm not a fanatic. I'm not even I'm not a sports fan by any means. Like, I like sports, it's okay, but I'm not a fan. But this must be what it's like for sports fans to be really passionate about a team and then watch Sports Center and then hear retired coaches and shit like that comment and not know what the fuck they're talking about and be dude, god damn it, what are you talking about, dude? The fucking defense has been fucking shit for the last 10 years. And you're sitting there telling me that the defense is going to fucking save this whole franchise? What are you, out of your fucking mind? What are you, stupid? You've been watching the same team I've been watching? But it's got to be what it feels like. It's got to be the same thing. Because I watch this shit and I listen to these fucking lawyers and I'm like, how is it, Because I sit there and I watch people and I'm just like, well, they're the ones getting paid millions of bucks coaching teams, and you're just some asshole in your living room yelling at the screen. What are you talking about? I get it now. Okay? I get it. I totally get it.
No one in the media knew about this. This has not been something that came out. Of course, the defense team's not going to talk about it. The prosecutors haven't. How helpful do you think it is to the Commonwealth's case against Karen Read to prove that she hit him with her car?
Well, every statement that she makes after Miranda has the possibility of affecting her case. The trooper did do exactly as he should have in continuing to advise her that she shouldn't make any statements. But that's up to her. And these extemporaneous statements that she is making can be admissible, and usually they would be admissible. So I think that everything that she is saying has the possibility of negatively affecting her case because what it does is it locks her into the statements that she has made. So it will be very interesting to see what the court's ruling is on this. But I can't see her ruling against the Commonwealth on this because there was no there was no type of custodial interrogation that was taking place. So therefore, I think that she's going to keep it in.
Right, Lieutenant. I think you're absolutely right, as she should, because they are admissions, by a party opponent. The rules of evidence provide for those to come in. We just have to be careful not to prejudice the jury in any way with the detention part of it. Great points by you all. Stand by kindly, please. When we come back, we're going to take a look at what the defense said is their evidence to support this third-party culprit theory. Next.
this could be
against defendant Karen Reed, and we're
this could be fantastic.
welcome back to Court TV Live. Jury selection continues today in the case against defendant Karen Reed, and we're unpacking some of the biggest bombshell moments from her hearing on Friday. And earlier, you heard us talking about how her defense team is raising that third-party culprit defense, which is different from just saying somebody else did this. It's where you're blaming someone, and the law provides if you're going to raise it, you've got to be specific about it. You have to have particular evidence about motive, means, opportunity. It can't just be mere dialogue. We believe it's this, we believe it's that. No, you have to back it up. And so here, you're going to see the judge offer to the defense team the time to show their evidence and show what they have to support their theory that they've been preaching about for months and months. Take a look.
The initial question is, why is there a third-party culprit defense? Why is it relevant? And we start, Your Honor, with the fact that our forensic medical examiner, Frank Sheridan, a forensic pathologist who has performed himself thousands and thousands of autopsies, has already submitted a sworn affidavit to this court that John O'Keefe's injuries are consistent with having been in a fight and are not consistent with having been hit by a car. Since he submitted that affidavit, the federal authorities have provided us with their reports, whereby FBI experts also corroborate that John O'Keefe's injuries are not consistent with having been hit by a car. They employed experts in biomechanics and kinematics who have reviewed the evidence in this case, and they've confirmed that the physical evidence essentially shows and doesn't show what Dr. Sheridan has opined.
Okay, so in a nutshell, what Yannetti's saying right here, in case we all misunderstood before, he's saying that their expert that was hired by the defense claimed that John O'Keefe's injuries were inconsistent with being hit by a car, but consistent with being beat up. Okay? He's not saying the federal investigation came to that same conclusion. He's just saying that the federal investigation, they concluded that that his injuries are inconsistent with being hit by a car. He at no point claims that the federal investigation claims that he was beat up. They just said that he wasn't hit by a car. Okay, this is very important to point out. So people who are saying that Yannetti's lying and blah, 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 we haven't even gotten there yet, because for all we know, the fucking feds did say that shit. But what he's saying is our expert said that his injuries are inconsistent with being hit by a car, consistent with being beat up. Federal investigation, inconsistent with being hit by a car. Doesn't say anything about being the federal investigative findings being that he was beat up. Doesn't say anything about that. So you got to pay attention.
So therefore, if John O'Keefe was not hit by a car, that means that Karen Reed did not kill him.
Right.
And we know that John O'Keefe did not die of natural causes. This was not a heart attack or a stroke. John O'Keefe was injured. He was mortally injured. If he was not hit by a car, as both our expert and FBI confirmed, then he was attacked. And if he was not hit by a car, then there is a third-party culprit or culprits. So by asking this court to prohibit the defense from introducing evidence that others had the motive, opportunity, and the means to attack John O'Keefe, the Commonwealth is essentially asking this court to prohibit Karen Reed from being able to defend herself.
So I don't think they're asking that you be prohibited from doing that. They're asking first to have you tell them what that is.
Right. Well, this is, Your Honor, I'm getting to that in terms of
so go ahead. You have your remarks.
That we're either required to give them or not. It is not our job to solve this case for the prosecution. It's our contention. They had the opportunity to do that, but they failed. It is not our job to name a specific third-party culprit. We do not have to prove that Brian Albert or Colin Albert or Brian Higgins or some combination of them intended to kill John O'Keefe.
Right.
We don't have to prove that any of them attacked John O'Keefe such that he eventually died. They have to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that they didn't. But the fact of the matter is there is evidence that all three of them had a motive, had the opportunity and the means to attack John O'Keefe.
God, you imagine how tricky this is, like being a defense attorney against this prosecution who seems to favor, who the judge seems to favor. I mean, you realize how tricky and what a slippery slope this is, because even now, like, this is the catch-22. Yannetti is in a position where he feels like he has to explain the law to the judge because Bev doesn't seem to fucking get it, right? Bev just doesn't seem to understand. So Yannetti is in a position where he has to say, it's not on us. We're not in a position to have to prove fucking anything. They are, and they haven't proved shit. As a matter of fact, we're only here because their witnesses lied to the fucking grand jury. So imagine how frustrating this is for them already, because this is the only fucking universe where they would actually have to fucking do this and put up a defense. Because what do you do? What do you do once you have proven that the entire foundation of this prosecution is shit? It's mud. It's nothing. Because their key witnesses lied to the grand jury. And yet she's allowing this to continue. This is fascinating. It's fascinating because she's allowing this to continue. And so now these guys have to sit here, and now it sucks because Yannetti is in this fucked up position because he still has to kiss this woman's ass, right? He still has to kiss this woman's ass. So, but yet he's still in a position to where he has to like explain the law to the judge because she doesn't seem to get it. So imagine how frustrating that must be for them because they know that it must piss Bev off. They don't want to piss the judge off, but it must piss the judge off that she has to have the law explained to her in open court by the defense. It's embarrassing for her, but they have no choice. They have no choice but because it has to go on record. It's all about the record. So they have to put it on record. We are not in a position to where we are obligated by the law to prove anything. The prosecution has to prove it. And they have to explain the law to her. And that must be frustrating because Bev is having to sit there and listen to that shit, and it's pissing her off. You cocky motherfucker. I'm a judge. And you are explaining the law to me, you arrogant piece of shit. That's what Judge Bev is thinking, but they don't have a choice at this point. They have to say these things so that they're on record. So every single time that these people make a case for their client, every single time that they make a case for their client, they piss off the judge. And they have to do it because now here we are. They shouldn't even have to be in this position in the first place. This case should have been dismissed. There was plenty of grounds to dismiss this case. Plenty of grounds to dismiss this case. But for some reason, the Alberts, excuse me, Judge Bev feels the need to move forward with this trial.
Now, the Commonwealth cites Commonwealth versus Conkey in their motion, and as this court started the discussion on this issue when you first took the bench, Conkey makes clear that a defendant has a constitutional right to argue that somebody else may have committed the crime. And certainly, no, the acts of that person can't be too attenuated in time or method of operation, as Mr. Lally mentions. But in terms of being the right time period, Your Honor, you can't get any closer than their presence at the scene at the very time that John O'Keefe was killed. And in terms of the method of operation, given that we have evidence that he was not hit by a car and that he was attacked, all three of these men, either alone or in combination, possessed the ability to attack him with or without a weapon. I mean, it's a very low standard here. The Commonwealth acknowledges that. It's a low standard of simple relevance. And the evidence here establishes relevance. Now, Your Honor, I could go through with the court the specific evidence we have with regard to motive, opportunity, and means with regard to the three Commonwealth witnesses that I've named.
So go ahead.
Happy to do it. Starting with Brian Higgins. He was present at 34 Fairview Road on January 28th to 29th. He was close friends with the homeowner, Brian Albert. He had a prior romantic interest in Karen Reed. He did not expect Karen and John O'Keefe to be at the Waterfall, that bar, on January 28th. Karen Reed did not greet Higgins, despite the fact that they had previously exchanged flirtatious texts and that she had been at his apartment one evening, although there was nothing that took place between them any more than a peck of a kiss. At the Waterfall, Higgins does not engage with John O'Keefe. He does not say goodbye to John O'Keefe and Karen when he leaves, but before he leaves, he texts Karen, and that text was something to the effect of, well, with a lot of M's. We know that there was a preservation order from this court, your predecessor, Judge Krupp, to preserve his cell phone, and that Trooper Proctor gave him an edict an order to serve on Brian Higgins, and he left it at the front desk of the Canton Police Station for him. And that Higgins, we learned through the federal investigation, Higgins became angry, demanded that Proctor come back, and he essentially upbraided him and read him the Riot Act, which shows a little bit about Higgins' personality. At the end of the night, everyone discussed going back to 34 Fairview, and when he gets back to 34 Fairview, he texts not Karen, he texts John O'Keefe at 12:20 a.m. He testified before the federal grand jury that he had no knowledge that they had been invited to 34 Fairview, but that is contradicted by this text message. And the inference is that he was coaxing John to come to that house. And, we're not saying this gives him a motive to kill John, but we don't have to show that. Any motive to feel hostility or animosity towards John O'Keefe goes to his motive. And Your Honor, when Brian Higgins and Brian Albert are in that house, they're the only two people who are unaccounted for when the rest of the group was in the kitchen. And they claimed that they were looking at photographs together. And we have evidence that they were in the basement.
That right here, what we're listening to, that's the defense's proffer that they say they have to offer the court to say that it was these specific other people. Are you impressed with the proffer?
I just love it. I just love it, bro. Like, oh man, you just see these dudes like flipping through a photo album. Oh man. Oh yeah, that was at my wedding. Oh shit, bro. Oh man. Oh my god, she looked so beautiful that day. Yeah, really. I mean, oh man. Dude, did you see? You should have seen this dude dancing, bro. I mean, it was crazy, dude. It was wild. Like, so these people looking through a photo album in the middle of the fucking night, bro. Fucking wrong with these people.
Dante Mills, I was watching your face as you were taking notes and watching this. Talk to us, please. What are you thinking, please?
Listen, as a criminal defense attorney, and I always preach controlling the narrative, I think there's something here.
I like it.
There's a salacious detail of a jealous romantic interest in Karen Reed by somebody that was at the house at the time. They were out earlier, and he sent her a text. That confirms this. So I know that there's been a lot of smoke and a lot of talk, but if this comes in and they can say somebody in that house wanted Karen Reed and was pissed that he didn't have her, and she opened the door to leading him on to think that he can get her by giving him a kiss when she was at his house, I think that's enough for a jury to grab onto if they're looking for a reason to think there's a cover-up. That's all you need if you're a criminal defense attorney, is something to stick. And I think this type of information is salacious, it's gossipy. If somebody's looking for a reason, I think this provides a reason. And I think this is enough to allow the judge or force the hand of the judge to let this information in.
It is salacious and gossipy, and I believe the state wants it in, Dante. Matt, would you speak to that? They've put in some of their responsive motions about how Karen Reed was going after Brian Higgins, the ATF agent, that she planted one on him at John O'Keefe's house, that she snuck downstairs to walk him out and kissed him, and he was surprised.
So that's how it may help the defense, right? What Dante is saying, but how it may help the prosecution and the Commonwealth here is the fact that they're really trying to paint a motive of the relationship was breaking down. They went on vacation. There was allegations of infidelity. Some of the family members may testify that there were a lot of fighting. There are voice messages that Karen Reed left, allegedly saying terrible things.
Angry,
saying
right.
terrible things. So
Vicious
it could go
voicemails.
to a motive in their eyes.
Yeah, we have so much more to talk about after the break. Lieutenant Randy Sutton, hold your thoughts for just a moment. We got to hit a break. When we come back, I'm calling on you to see what you think of this case. We'll be right back after this.
We are underway by Doomsday Prophet Chad Daybell.
Yep, that dude's got his license plate taken.
Welcome back to Court TV Live. We're talking about defendant Karen Reed and how we may get a jury seated today. I want to bring back in my guest, my colleague, of course, Matt Johnson in the studio, attorney and Professor Dante Mills standing by remotely, and so is Lieutenant Randy Sutton, a highly decorated officer. He's also a radio show host. He hosts The Voice for American Law Enforcement. He's received multiple awards for life-saving incidents, for exemplary service. He's done training of officers all around the country and founded the Wounded Blue, which helps disabled officers. And we thank you for your service, Lieutenant. And I want to go to you. Please tell me, as this case is going to open up on Monday, we think Monday is going to be the day. What are you most looking forward to seeing, Lieutenant, in terms of the case evidence?
God damn it. Who the fuck said Max Headroom, dude? Who the fuck said Max Headroom? I hate you for that. Now I can't unsee it.
Well, this is going to be a highly volatile trial in that there are so many accusations that are being made against the people that were in the house. And I'll tell you what the wrinkle is here, and that is that somehow the feds got involved in this. And I think that could have a huge effect on this trial, along with the exculpatory evidence, if that is accurate, from the other medical examination that took place. So there will be a massive attempt by the defense to discredit the forensic evidence that was collected at the scene by the state, and that will provide a lot of fodder for the defense. And remember, the defense does not have to prove somebody else. They don't have to say, "Hey, Joe Blow did this." The burden of proof is on the state, and so that is where this. You can see that's the avenue that the defense is taking, is just to throw enough mud there to try and get the jury to say, "Hey, you know what? There's reasonable doubt here." It only takes one juror to say no, and this either becomes a hung jury or the defense, wins at the end of the day. So it'll be very interesting.
Yeah, certainly, Lieutenant. We just have a couple more seconds, but curious how much you think Karen Reed's.
I love it. I love it. Let's just spin that narrative. Let's do it. Let's spin it. Woo! I love it, dude. well, we kill him, and then we say that she did it. Well, I mean, if she gets away with it, well, then she's guilty and she got away with it. Dude, I've done this a million times, bro. Of course. What are you talking about? Of course. Just tell it. We don't have to do shit. We don't have to prove shit. We just fucking, if she gets away with it, then she's the guilty one who got away with it. We're cops. Do whatever the fuck we want. Oh my God, dude. Like, how could people not see right through this shit? It's unbelievable.
Reed's own statements are going to matter here. She was in hysterics that morning, and multiple people at the scene heard her saying that she hit John O'Keefe.
Yeah, no, that's critical stuff. The statements made extemporaneous to an investigation are all admissible. And so that's going to be really critical stuff.
This is such a great discussion. We'll leave it there for now. Lieutenant Randy Sutton, attorney Dante Mills, and my friend Matt Johnson, my co-TV colleague. Thank you all so much.
More trash from Court TV. How much time I got? I got another hour. All right. So let's get into let's get into this shit, because I haven't watched this shit yet. Oh, Diane, thank you so much for the Venmo. I appreciate you. I want to get.
Okay. Thank you, guys. And so if Karen is ready, I'm going to bring on Karen from True Crime and Wine.
Oh, God.
Hi, Karen.
Hi, how are you?
Doing? Good. How's your weekend going?
Oh, God. Dopper's fucking clone.
Pretty good. Same old, running around to sports. Nothing crazy, dealing with doggies.
So if you hit this one out of the park, I hear you're going to get honorary admission to the New York bar, and you'll be able to practice the lawyer.
That'd be great. Wait, is this microphone, is this better for me? Like, do I sound clearer than last time?
I thought it sounded clear last time, but it sounds good. Yeah.
I'm using, my husband has a YouTube channel. He has like the setup here, so I'm using his. So maybe it'll sound better this time. I don't know if I can compare with you and Grant. Mine's a little more like feely type stuff.
You gave me an idea what you were doing, and I think it was important to see that something different, so we're not all doing the same thing. So hopefully we'll have a lot of variety. Okay. And I know Kate's going to surprise us, I'm sure. So.
Okay, so I feel like I'm almost reading a speech at college. So if I'm nervous, that's why.
You want me to stay in here and just, or do you want me to just back up?
It makes me feel more comfortable. Thank you. Okay, so I think I'm going to fit it into the 10 minutes. We'll see. And I'm reading it from my computer, so if I'm not looking at you guys, that's why. Okay. Hi, all. I'm going to start with a quote that should be kept in mind for the next 10 minutes while I address some of the strongest evidence of this case. 3 people can keep a secret if 2 of them are dead. Keep that in mind. I'm going to start with the impossibility of anything the defense even attempts to hint at first. I ask that you keep in mind the job of the defense lawyer is not to seek the truth in a case. It is to find any way to get their client free. Let's remind ourselves that back when this theory was first presented.
Tell you guys, let me give you guys some context here. I was invited on this, and I considered it, but I talked about it last time I was live, and the reasons why I did not take his link here was because of the reasons that I stated. These are people who are not willing to listen to any reason whatsoever. They've proven this all over Twitter, on YouTube. And then I realized I was like, yeah, this is not, no, it's pointless, fucking pointless. There's no such thing as a rational discussion with irrational people. It's just not possible. So I declined.
Turtle Boy through the defense and why they needed Turtle Boy to begin with. See, I'm getting nervous. Okay. Karen Reed is accused of hitting her boyfriend, Officer John O'Keefe, with her car and ultimately causing his death. In the very, very early days of this, Karen's lawyer stood on the mic proclaiming that Karen loved this man and there was no criminal intent. Later that year, after a grand jury was able to look at the evidence, the Norfolk County grand jury indicted Karen on charges of secondary murder, manslaughter while operating under the influence of alcohol and leaving the scene of personal injury and death. As I've done repeatedly over the last months on social media, I would like to point out to the viewers tonight that no matter what you see and what you read on social media or on any blog, you have yet to see the evidence that convinced this grand jury to raise the charges on Karen. Soon you will. The original story from the defense was that John was lured back to the house so that the Albert family could teach him a lesson. They wanted to teach John a lesson.
Oh, thank you for the Venmo, Greg. I appreciate you.
Because of messing with a teenager named Colin Albert. Of course, that theory has morphed and changed, but let's start there. According to the defense, John
I don't understand. Like her and Coffindoffer go to they must go to the same fucking hairdresser. They must go to the same hairdresser. Like like what is the name of that hairdresser? I gotta know. I have no idea. I have no idea. Like I can't understand. I don't understand, like, or is it like a hairstyle? Do they walk into the hair salon and go, give me the ignorant true crime retard? Like, how do you do this? How do you decide on that hairdo? I gotta know.
John was a grumpy neighbor who didn't like Colin and his friends throwing things on his lawn. Let's go through this part first and debunk the absolute insanity of this. John and his nephew went to eat lunch that day at Chris Albert's restaurant. John and Chris were friends, and to choose that restaurant would be strange if there were actually any issues between the families, especially with other pizza places right around the corner. Chris invites John to come for drinks that night with a bunch of random acquaintances between the two of them. Important to note, Karen was not supposed to come that night, if only she would have stayed home. Colin was around 17 years old at the time, and John was 46. Have you ever in your life heard of a grown man with such beef towards a kid? I doubt it. Also, too often forgotten is that Jen McCabe was close with John and probably closer than the rest of them, but they all knew one another through friends of friends, etc. Interestingly enough, by the time everyone left the bar to continue the after party at the Albert's home, Colin Albert had left to go home, along with the many other younger partygoers. They're earlier celebrating a family member's birthday, prior to the moms and dads coming back for the after party. In my opinion, this is a pretty weak excuse to even fight John, let alone beat him close to death, let your dog attack him, and then brilliantly throw him on your lawn and hope and pray that the elements outside will slowly, painfully take the life of a man loved by all. He was explained by Karen as a patron saint of cancer. Yet somehow this night, a random group of friends.
I think we got a super dad. Super dad. Super dad. Super dad. I think we got a super dad.
Oh my goodness. Thank you so much. Miss Bell, again, not a hairdresser, dog groomer instead. Oh my goodness. Y'all are the worst.
Friends decided to become murderers and conspirators in one of the largest possible cover-ups in history. Many of us are keeping a tally of how many would be willing to throw away their lives, futures, pensions, and simply to pin a murder on a random woman with zero motivation. We are now up to 90. 90, Kevin. Okay, including his two children that were orphaned twice, his brother and his best friend, along with many others. This case has been a lot of smoke and mirrors, hyper-focused on unimportant aspects of the case that have been a power move by a perfectly crafted PR team for Ms. Reed. Taillight pictures with no date, time, etc. have been up for debate ad nauseum. Dog bites where no DNA from a dog was found on the clothing.
I love that.
Was tested for exactly.
Have been up for debate ad nauseum. So the lack of logging in evidence has been up for debate ad nauseum. Like, yeah, that's the only reason it's ad nauseum, as you put it, is because it shouldn't even be a fucking debate. It's not going to be a debate in a court of law. Like when it's presented to a jury, it's going to be like, okay, Lieutenant Proctor, could you show me what the date is in which you logged this into evidence? Okay, cool. Can you show me the date in where this picture was taken of John's clothing all over the floor in the hospital? Okay, cool. No further questions, Your Honor. It's not even a fucking debate. What are you talking about? It's That's called reasonable doubt. That is called doubt. It's not up for debate. It's doubt.
Exactly that. No, they didn't test his actual arm because this entire theory did not come out until 18 months after John was laid to rest. Excuses you could never imagine as to how there's no DNA on his clothing are as crazy as this. They laundered John's clothing. They went that night and purchased duplicate clothing. You know.
Oh my God. Y'all in the chat are killing me, bro. I swear to God, my Boston people you guys are my favorite fucking chat ever. Ever. I've been doing this 5 years, bro. Like, I feel like I've been waiting for you my whole life. She smells like Bartles and James and tilapia. Oh my God. I fucking hate you guys, bro. Oh shit.
You know that people say this, Kevin?
I know.
But they purchased the exact same clothing that night. Okay. Where was I? So that night they purchased the same clothing. Literally anything will come up as long as it is not that Karen is guilty. And that has been the trend throughout all of this cover-up and conspiracy. Scanlon was supposed to be the apparent whistleblower, yet a illegally recorded phone call shows how little Scanlon knew. He was guessing and trying to insert himself into this case. United gave Scanlon a check for $1,500 that Scanlon gave back, clearly knowing that he didn't give them much information to go with. Now, were the lawyers lying, exaggerating? This I don't know. But Scanlon denies giving them any kind of bombshell information, yet they ran with it. Oddly enough, Scanlon is not on either of the witness lists. A big issue in this case is the 227 search, and I am by far not a phone analyst or expert of any sort, but I trust in the fact that this search did not happen until the following morning.
Yeah, I love this. That's the thing that's another reason I didn't even go up there. I would have been up there. It would have been a simple point. Because you listen to these idiots, dude, and everything that they say is based on the idea that the defense has to, for some reason, by law, present evidence. They don't have to do shit. They don't have to present any type of evidence whatsoever. The fact of the matter is, like, I would have went up there and I would have been like, okay, who here thinks that Karen Read is going to be that Karen Read is going to be found guilty of this crime? Okay. Based on what? Oh, well, the taillight, blah, 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 blah. And then I would have poked holes through this taillight bullshit evidence that everybody keeps fucking talking about. And then I would have left. Because there's no argument there. There's no argument there. Unless there is some fucking miracle explanation. Because here's the thing. If they say, oh, well, here's the logs that they forgot. I mean, here's actually when it was logged in. It wasn't logged in at this time. It was actually logged into this. Why wasn't that given to the defense in discovery? So the bottom line is what we have that the prosecution has shared with the defense is bullshit. And then we have all of the shit that they haven't shared with the defense. Why hasn't the prosecution lived up to their obligations to provide Karen Read with a fair trial by sharing the evidence that they have in discovery with the defense? They failed to do this. And Judge Bev just let it happen and laughed about it, joked about it. So, you know, I'm not here to argue with these people whether Karen Read is guilty or innocent. I wasn't there. I don't fucking know. But I'm telling you right now that investigation was fucked from the word go, and her rights have been violated nonstop ever since. Not to mention everyone else's rights surrounding her. So that's my argument. I don't give a shit about. You're not going to sit here and convince me that Karen Read is guilty because you heard a rumor from a family member that she did this or that, or that she got in a fight with an argument with a neighbor fucking God knows how many years ago over fucking noise. None of that shit means anything to me. That doesn't fucking mean she's guilty of a crime. Like, these idiots, there's no, how am I supposed to talk to people about the law when they don't even understand the simple concept of innocent until proven guilty?
At 6:23, and this is why. Okay. Not because I'm an expert.
Let me take my gin.
Because if that was searched at 2.
Yeah.
Okay. Did not happen until the following morning at 6:23, and this is why.
That's not water, bro. Nobody drinks water out of a glass like that. Nobody drinks water out of a glass like that. Okay? Nobody calls them True Crime and Some Wine. Okay? Her channel should be called True Crime, Some Wine, and a shit ton of gin. Get real, lady.
Okay. Not because I'm an expert, because if that was searched at 223 and was very important to all of the conspirators and they needed to know that information would have been shared. It is as simple as that. Jen's phone has been dissected repeatedly. At no point did she even screenshot that search and share it with the crew of conspirators that needed the info. In fact, she never even called anyone to share the info that she received from that search. So logically, it makes sense, but the 623 and 624 makes sense. Logically, it makes sense that the 623 and 624 work because John was still barely alive and Karen wanted to know how long he could have lasted out there in the cold. I will leave this one to the expert opinions, but to me, it just doesn't make sense to Google that and never share the results that day. Another issue many have is why didn't Brian and his wife run outside of the house while John was on the lawn that morning? It was snowing, windy, early morning after a late night of partying.
Okay, hold on.
When it was on the lawn, results that day. Another issue, cold. I will leave this one to the expert opinions, but to me, it just doesn't make sense to Google that and never share the results that day. Another.
Okay. So why would Jennifer McCabe Google, because it doesn't make sense to her that Jennifer McCabe would Google and then not share those results that night. What do you mean? Share the results with who? Share the results with who? What are you talking about? How do you know she didn't? Were you there? Were you there when she was standing there Googling it and then fucking, you know what I mean? Like, because I could speculate as to how that Google search, like what the scene was like around there. Fucking, can you hold my fucking hair back? Hold my hair back, you fucking retard. Hold on. Fuck, hold on. I'm trying to do two things at the same fucking time. Look. Oh, I gotta Google this shit. Hold my hair back. Hold my hair back. Hold on, let me Google this shit. Hold on. It's totally what it looks like to me. I mean, that's just me. You know what I mean? That's absolutely speculative. 100% speculative. But you're speculating that she never shared the results with anybody? You know what I mean? Like, how do you know? What do you mean? It's weird to me that she didn't share the results with anybody. How do you know? The fuck are you talking about, lady?
Another issue many have is why didn't Brian and his wife run outside of the house while John was on the lawn that morning? It was snowing, windy, early morning after a late night of partying. When the ladies pulled up, it was around 6 minutes until John was already on an ambulance and out of there. He was a top priority. No one on the entire road came out. There were no sirens, no lights, and not this big commotion that everyone's picturing in their mind. The police did return to the home, knock on the door, and enter the home after John was secured. One more thing that needs to be understood before I wrap this up with my most concerning point. Why didn't the police search the home? I hear this a lot on social media. Why didn't they treat this as a possible murder? Here is why. You have Karen at the scene with a broken taillight saying, "This is my fault. I can't believe this. I hit him." Saying she hit him to 5 separate individuals who will testify to this. May I ask why these people early to the scene would choose not to believe Karen? It makes no sense to me. The car has damage. He is found where she was parked the night prior with a broken taillight. She is standing there admitting that she did it, and they're supposed to run around looking for a perpetrator?
Oh my God.
That makes no sense. It's important to note John's phone never moved again once he was hit. On that phone are also several angry texts and messages from Karen to John. Many people who've been sucked into this conspiracy believe the drunk conspirators were smart enough to throw his phone on the grass where Karen was, bring him inside, beat him, drag him back outside onto the same exact spot that his phone was left. Also, they remembered to crack his cocktail glass and place pieces of it right near him.
Yeah, because that doesn't sound like a fucking like something a bunch of drunk fucks who are trying to frame somebody for murder would do, right? That's the whole point. That frame up job was done horribly. That's the whole point. It sure as shit sounds like a bunch of drunk assholes trying to frame somebody. If you ask me, fuck, dude, like what the fuck should we fucking do? Hold on. Let me do another line. Hold on. Okay. Well, what the fuck do you mean? What he would do with his fucking phone? You fucking take his phone, you put it under his fucking body. Put his fucking phone under him. Who cares? Put his fucking phone there. Just do what I fucking tell you. Like, yeah, it sounds like a bunch of drunk fucking Neanderthals who just threw together a frame-up job. So fucking don't fucking worry about it. Fucking Proctor's my boy. All right, we get him on it. It's all fucking good. Shut up. Shut the fuck up. Just put the fucking phone underneath them. Jesus fucking Christ. That's totally what it sounds like to me. Yeah, I know. It's a New York accent. My bad. Sorry.
Sorry, it's time to give up this fantasy. Conspiracy sells. It's more interesting. We all know that. But the truth is always way less exciting. A drunk, angry woman coming to the end of a relationship she didn't want to end, lost it, and backed up hitting him. He was never in that house, and there is zero chance of a conspiracy because, like I said early on, 3 people can keep a secret if 2 are dead. So what are the chances of 90 keeping that secret? Again, including in that 90 are John's friends, family. Why didn't Karen tell anyone at the scene that morning that she saw John enter the home? Why wasn't she screaming to John's family and children and banging down the door at Canton PD yelling, I didn't do this? Instead, she said, I have to remember the bad times and I will likely never see you again. And she deserted those children once again. Not a tear was shed while Paul shared the news of John's death with John's nephew. My final point in this, that morning before going to Jen's house and before discovering John, Karen was uttering all kinds of things on the phone, such as John is dead. Maybe he was hit by a plow. I ask you, in what situation would anyone assume their loved one was hit by a plow after watching him walk into a party? Karen's GPS will give you the answer to that one. She gave you a little hint in one of her interviews. She said, I drove around in the 2 square miles we spent the preceding night. Okay, so what did you see that night, Karen? What would you see that would make you think he was hit by a plow? Maybe you saw John lying on the side of the road, and maybe, just maybe, that's why the charges were upped to murder too. And I will leave the hardcore conspiracy believing the Turtle Riders with this last quote, and it's from you, Kevin.
Oh, dude.
The theory you were so sure about a week ago, you were proven wrong about. Should you...
Scott says, can you imagine being her husband? Dude, yeah. I mean, like, I could imagine just being drunker than she is all the time. All the time. There's no way I'd be married to her sober. No fucking way. No way. I'd be drunk all the time. Like, as soon as I walked in and I heard her voice, I'd be like, fuck, man. Hi, honey. You know? And then, like, yeah, that's great, babe. Right. Because I mean, I'm doing it now. Like, I've absorbed about 10% of everything that she just said right now. Like 10% of it. If I'm being completely honest. Like, I have no fucking idea what the fuck she's talking about.
You still be so sure this time. It's time to leave this battle to be fought in the courtroom. And no matter what, throughout all of this, there was never any good reason to go after the grieving family of John O'Keefe. If you've been a part of that, you need to take a long look in the mirror and ask for forgiveness. The end.
Thank you, Karen. And just like you were talking about how her statements about driving around for 2 miles. Now, keep in mind,
doesn't this lady have a podcast? Like, why wouldn't she like present? Like, do you care about convincing anybody of your bullshit?
The state in the charging documents has said that they believe they have enough evidence to show that she went back to the location to 34 Fairview, and she, her own attorneys in the reply documents have not said that the GPS shows she didn't. So it's clear from both sides that the GPS was off on her phone. Now the question is, I've never turned the GPS off on my phone.
It's a TikTok.
So is there some, unless we find that GPS was off before this day, then that's absolutely conscious of guilt.
She double fisted that shit. You saw it?
GPS was off.
You're like, I don't want to drop it. Make sure both my hands got a good wrap on this one.
Before this day, then that's absolutely conscious of
delicious.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, there's not going to be a way around it.
No.
So thank you. Are you going to stick around for the panel for a little bit?
Yeah, I will. I'm just going to upstairs and come back down. So do you have Kate?
Yeah, Kate's ready to
You can't even put a lime in that shit. You fucking, like, come on. You expect us to believe you're classy here? You can't even put a fucking lime in it? Don't you know you're in the company of a goddamn bartender?
Come on, is Matt still coming? Because I
believe so. I sent him a link. Let me just make sure that I told him it was going to be around like 8:50-ish. I don't even know what time.
Oh, you got at least 15 minutes because Kate will go, and I actually want to just thank some people that had some comments and donations.
Okay. Yeah, you can have me back in after Kate if you want, whatever works, or after him, whatever.
Yeah,
okay.
If Matt's here, we'll go. Yep, thank you. Just want to say some quick thank you. So first, Patrice says, Tom, have Kevin buy you a beer on me, which I certainly would, but even better would be if you can be with us, Pat. Tom is in North Carolina, but he comes up during the summer. Ken the plumber said Kevin Reed said it's her fault, and I believe her. Duke Dudley has a question. So this is from the other side. Good, because we want people from both sides. That's what you want, are good questions. We were hoping, and the door is still open, that somebody will come in from the other side. We'll see what happens. They were initially going to, and then whatever. So his question is why Higgins and Albert destroyed their cell phones? And I think the answer to that is, well, first of all, we don't know, right? But why did Tom Brady not want his messages out there? Why did the CIA try to hide from the Warren Commission certain things? Well, it's because the CIA, it's not because they were involved in the assassination of JFK. It's because they didn't want Congress to find out that they were trying to assassinate Fidel Castro. I mean, people have embarrassing things on their phone that they don't want other people to find. So if there were any messages, Higgins sent all his messages. He had them taken out by a federal data person that he knew. Now, maybe that's a little shady, but there's no question that if there were any messages between him and Karen and him and John.
You know how you don't get a fucking court order for your phone? You know how you avoid that? Don't admit to fucking breaking your other phone in order to cover up what happened on the night that a fucking cop died. Like, it's real easy. It's real easy. Like, I have no problem turning over my phone. Whatever you find in there, I don't give a fuck. You know, embarrassing as anything may be, that's fine. You know, sure. Right. Like, but you know what I mean? If you're so worried about people finding shit in your phone, you know, then why'd you smash the other one?
That were missing, the police would know that because they have John's messages and they have Karen's. So he didn't delete or cut out any of those messages. So he just decided on his own the other stuff was embarrassing and he didn't want people to see it. Listen, most men have embarrassing stuff on their phone, especially guys in their 20s and 30s and 40s. So it is what it is. Andy, thank you very much. Candidly, Kristen.
Yeah, Scott. What do you mean? Where have you been, bro? Yes, Pete Townsend was absolutely the third shooter on the grassy knoll. People walked up to Pete Townsend, CIA agents. They said, "Who are you? Who? We're not going to get fooled again, people."
This seems like a new person. Kevin, may I suggest you analyze the taillight when Karen hits the brake? Further down the driveway, it demonstrates the taillight was intact. Thank you. Maybe we'll go into it later, but we've gone so much on the taillight. And the thing is it can't be broken in missing pieces earlier, and then it gets a little further down the driveway, and suddenly it's healed itself. Now, I'm not suggesting that that's what you're saying, but what you're talking about is looking at the taillight when it's further down the road, further down the driveway, and the lights come on, and you can't see the corner because the missing pieces are actually not on the rear of it. They're mostly on the corner. But when you look at those pieces that show it missing around the corner, it's indisputable. Now, what should it look like from a further distant back when she hits the brakes? That's what we're going to see experts describe, but I don't think they're going to have any problem describing what happened because you can see. Let's see if I still, it's going to pull it back in if I still have it. It's here.
All right.
Those are clearly missing pieces.
So
I'm not sure what innocent explanation.
Power panel.
And I think the voicemails after 12:45 a.m. go to that. But back to what Kate was saying, that GPS data is very damning. And Aidan Kearney in that law and crime debate with me was wrong, absolutely wrong, about his interpretation of what the Apple Health data meant and what the timeline meant. And it really came through when I think it was Roberta from another excellent podcast was saying, according to Aidan Kearney, if Apple Health data doesn't get the calories or steps I burned right in a day, then society itself will come crashing down. And it really just goes to the point, which is Apple Health data has been wrong before. And even if it were right in this case, it's not relevant to the point, which is John O'Keefe did not go in that house.
Mm-hmm. What do you guys think about the stuff that's emerged in the last week, the witnesses, the new evidence that's been submitted? Karen, do you have any ideas on that? And then we'll go to Kate.
What am I? I'm like losing my train of thought. Go to Kate first because I'm just telling Matt what to do.
Okay, that's good. Thank you. Kate, what do you think about the new stuff that we've learned? What have we learned in the last week?
I mean, the witness list, I wasn't terribly shocked. I have it on good authority. The defense understands that they are not going to actually be calling everybody on their list, which I'm sure it is true for the Commonwealth. I would be interested to see who's actually called and what's relevant. I do think that the rumors about John Sr., Mr. O'Keefe, have been particularly ridiculous and kind of nasty and disrespectful, right? And, again, these people aren't volunteering to be on these witness lists. Right. This is the Commonwealth and the defense saying these are the people who we would like to compel by court order to come in and testify. So John Sr.'s name ending up on that witness list doesn't.
Just looking at Grant fucking roll that blunt, bro. Like, I love it. It's just so funny.
Mean anything other than
got him just fucking making out with this goddamn thing, and then you got fucking drunky McDrunken Karen Pants over here talking about I can't read my screen.
And I think we all know at this point, just from word of mouth, because Karen runs her mouth just as much as the rest of her merry band of misfits, and so the things get around. Karen is delusional, and she thinks that John Sr. loves her because he wrote her a nice Christmas card in like 2021. His sentiments have changed, right? I'm not speaking for the guy. I don't know the guy, but I can.
Dude. Look at this motherfucker right here, bro. Here, I'm gonna mute it, but you just watch this dude. Look at that. look at Grant, bro, going off on this thing. Like, Grant, I'm here to tell you, buddy. If you do that to a woman, we'd see a different Grant, bro. Promise you. Like, there you go. You got it. There you go. You do that to a woman, and your whole life will change, my friend. We'll see a whole new Grant. You guys, I mean, you got somebody cooking for you, giving you money, all kinds of shit. That's all. Look at that. One last whoop. Grant, apply that to a woman. I promise you, you'll win. You'll win.
That the sentiments have probably changed. And saying that, yes, I liked her when John and her were dating at this time period doesn't somehow absolve her of murdering John.
Exactly. But, you know, the problem is, unfortunately, these people they think if he's on the witness list, I'm not even joking, that means he supports the defense. I was like, guys, I can't. That's what they think. Because that's, you know, the level of intelligence on some of these people.
But it was more than that. It was Sean on the Gulf maliciously spreading a rumor that Mr.
Yeah.
O'Keefe was going to sit behind the Reed family or with them, and that is false. I confirm. I have good sources. I confirm that is false. It was never true. It was clearly an intentionally subversive and an emotionally abusive tactic. Sean McDonough is a disgrace to the legal law enforcement profession.
Now, I don't know. Again, I don't listen. I don't pay attention to things like this. If you notice that. Like, to me, that kind of shit is just noise. Unless I see a public statement, you know, from John O'Keefe's family saying, you know, we've kind of changed our minds on things. New things have come to light. We'll be in support of Karen Read from here on out, blah, blah, blah. I don't take anything anybody says on the internet. And I recommend that none of you guys do either. I don't give a fuck who says it. I don't give a fuck if Sean says it. I don't give a fuck if I say it. I don't give a fuck if Turtle Boy says it. I don't give a fuck. Like, unless you can confirm this fucking information, you know, like, you take it with a grain of salt. You don't spread it around. You know what I mean? Like, that's silly. That's the kind of shit that makes this case a circus. Is crazy shit like that. Like, right now, you've got the Sebastian Rogers case, right? This missing kid. And now all everyone's talking about is how the dad is now working with the step parents and blah, blah, blah. And, you know, and it's all the drama between the dad and the step parents. And it's like, what about the missing kid? Anybody remember him? Anybody? You know? What about the kid? The autistic kid with nobody, you know, who could be alone out there and is just waiting for somebody to come help him and save him. Why do you give a fuck whether or not the parents are getting along? It's irrelevant. It's irrelevant. I don't give a shit about that stuff. And I'm telling you right now, I don't give a shit about that stuff. Like, and if you do, you're losing focus, you know?
Profession. He disgraces the agency that he worked for. And I haven't even taken that much time to look into this man. But after he tweeted that, and when I found out that it was false, it made me realize that I want to see these individuals held so civilly liable that they are buried under judgments and garnished from making any money until 2050. Thank you.
I would just
Thank you. Like, this coming from a guy who just spews out lies like the blood from his asshole. It's insane.
Question. I'm sorry, go ahead. I just want to see if you can take it on a moment, but does anybody want to take on this question here from Michael? How did the John's cocktail glass get embedded in the bumper? You can continue with what you were saying too.
Well, I would say presumably when he was hit by a car going approximately 24 miles an hour in reverse. That would be I'm not an expert.
Right. I mean, think about it. That one's not that difficult. Sorry if I'm cutting people off.
I'm not an expert. I'm an expert in everything else. I'm not an expert.
I mean, it's not that difficult.
Well, and you have to remember there is video evidence of Karen and John walking from bar to bar with glasses. Karen had kind of this vase-style glass that the bartender was pouring shots into at the first bar. She took it to the second bar. John, and what I think is such an interesting image, it was in one of the case documents, and we don't hear a lot about it. When you read the written description of Karen leaving the bar to go to her car, leaving the waterfall, you read that John was standing alone. drinking sort of from his glass before he walks out with Karen. And there's this description of him standing at a table, and I can just see it. I've never even seen the video, but he's standing at a table, and it's almost like he takes a deep, deep sigh, takes a sip from his glass, and carries it with him out the door. And that was the glass that was in his hand when he was likely hit. Description of him standing at a table, and I can just see it. I've never even seen the video, but he's standing where he walks out with Karen, and there's this John was standing alone, drinking sort of from his glass before he walks out with Karen. And there's this description of him standing at a table, and I can just see it. I've never even seen the video, but he's standing at a table, and it's almost like he takes a deep, deep sigh, takes a sip from his glass, and carries it with him out the door. And that was the glass that was in his hand when he was likely hit by Karen's car. And that image is just so telling, because I can imagine John thinking,
image,
oh, I got to drive over there with her now. And that's how
that image that may or may not exist in reality is just so telling. Is it, Grant? That image that you never saw, it's just so telling. Awesome.
I think we got a super dad. Super dad. I think we got a super dad. Super dad. Super dad. Super dad. Dad, 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 dad. I think we got a super dad. I think we got a super dad.
Miss Bell, thank you again. Never bought before, but is this a package of douches? Oh my God.
How I read that.
Let me ask a little tougher.
It's interesting that I think it was earlier today, maybe yesterday, because you know how they have that image of them like hugging when she first gets there, and everybody like made the whole night based on that one image, and now this other video came out where you could see her like yelling at him. So it's so funny, you know, how they hyper focus on one thing, like that's it, they were in love, there was no problems because of this one image, when you don't see the rest of it. So just another interesting point. I'm emailing Matt this link again.
I just sent it to him. I just emailed it to him. So
okay, because I did do it earlier, but okay.
Yeah, that's okay. He just emailed, so I got it. I didn't even know I had his email, so
we were in. It was the three of us in one.
I have a question. No, go ahead.
Sorry, I see it in the chat. Grant said it. I will have to disagree with. She was technically invited to that gathering. For whatever reason, she wasn't going to make it in. I think by the time they pulled up, she didn't have any intentions of going in, but she was. It's not that she was unwelcome or that these people didn't like her or anything like that. She was absolutely welcome. I mean, she said that she had a stomach ache, and then she said that it was because of an argument, and then she said it's because she wasn't sure whether or not they were even invited there, which they certainly weren't, right? But I don't think the rest of the group had no animosity towards Karen. And I think that's something that really gets overshadowed in all this. But a lot of people have said, like, repeatedly, right, it's that their first instinct was not that Karen killed John. It wasn't like right off the bat. It took a while for the shock to wear off and for people to figure out sort of where the evidence was headed and what her behavior was like directly after, that they said, oh my.
Wow. Yeah, it took a while. Like, what do you mean, a couple of hours? What are you talking about? Like, it didn't take a while. Like, that's exactly where it went immediately. Like immediately, like before they even actually did a thorough search of the property, which they never actually did. But you know, before they even thoroughly searched the front yard, like they determined that Karen Read was guilty and hit him with her car. What are you talking about? It didn't take them a while. It took them like a couple of hours, maybe.
Said, oh my God, she might have had something to do with that. But at first that was not, you know, it wasn't like all fingers point to Karen. Karen was the only person initially who implicated Karen, right? And so like there wasn't any animosity there as far as the friends and family go.
Right.
Oh, and just to clarify, but sorry, Kevin, I just want to make clear because I don't want to be misleading. I was only saying that something happened between the waterfall and Fairview that led to Karen not feeling comfortable going in.
Right,
and I think the voicemails where she was screaming, John, I effing hate you, are an indication of the fight that happened. Sorry, Kevin.
That's okay. I have a question that's kind of, maybe this is even a little bit more from the defense side. But I think maybe, Grant, you might be able to answer this, maybe Kate too. You're not a lawyer, but you work with a lot of lawyers. For me, so when I look at the witness list, Adam Lally had said that there was a second federal investigator, or no, it's a second independent investigator hired by the feds that affirms the state's version of the accident. But I don't see that witness on the state's witness list. Is that something that can be added later or on rebuttal, or what do you think?
I don't foresee it coming in through.
What?
That affirms the state's version investigator, or no, it's the second independent. Look at the witness list. Adam Lally had said that there was a second federal investigator, or no, it's the second independent investigator hired by the feds that affirms the state's version of the accident. But I don't see that witness on the state's witness list. Is that something that can?
I don't know. Maybe. I don't know, Plevin. Because here's Plevin going, Lally said that there was this other investigator who conducted this investigation. Lally said that there was another federal independent investigator, and I don't see them on the witness list, on the state's witness list. I don't understand. Well, maybe it's because Lally fucking lied. Did you ever think of that? You ever think of the fact that Lolly fucking lied, just like you already pointed out, more aggressively than anybody else, by the way, Plevin? You're the one who aggressively pointed out Lolly fucking lied about what Karen Reed said, sitting in the booking part of the police station while that police officer's body cam footage was recording her. You said yourself, Lolly fucking lied. It wasn't a mistake. It wasn't that he misspoke. He lied. You said that. I didn't even jump to that conclusion yet. I hadn't even jumped to that conclusion that Lolly fucking lied. Is it so crazy to think that he fucking lied about some federal investigator that claimed? Why would he bring it up and not put them on the witness list, Kevin? That's a great question, by the way. That's a question you're asking. Why is it that this phantom federal investigator, where is he? Doesn't exist. Doesn't fucking exist because Lolly's a fucking liar.
Something that could be added later or on rebuttal, or what do you think?
I don't foresee it coming in through evidentiary testimony. I think that what that was, and just so folks understand, there is a federal protective order pursuant to 28 CFR 16.21, which, if you want to learn more, you can read more about it in section 25 of the DOJ operations manual. But it basically describes a case which is called United States ex rel Toohey v. Reagan from 1985. I think it's 342 USC 21 in the federal. But anyway, the point is the case is very important because what it talks about is if you're doing a federal investigation like the one that Karen Reed is alleged to have started because of her connections with Josh Levy, the current acting U.S. attorney, then first U.S. assistant attorney in November of 2022, when this was alleged to have started, then all of the documents pursuant to that investigation are protected from disclosure pursuant to 28 CFR 16.21 through 26. However, in this case, the federal protective order related to those 3,000 pages of documents related to the investigation the feds did can be mentioned in oral arguments. So I don't think this expert was ever going to testify. I think it was Adam Lally saying, hey, in these Toohey documents, there are indications that the federal government expert found X, Y, and Z. The only time Prosecutor Lally can make those statements is in oral arguments because of the protective order. That's my read of that.
But clearly the defense has the federal experts the experts that the feds found to say that the injuries to John don't match someone being hit by a vehicle. That's in that company. I forget the name of it.
Do we know for sure that they are? I mean, that's another thing is, are they falsely connecting the two? Because unfortunately, the defense has said some things that are misleading, if not straight out false at times. So I would even question, because I think it would be very unusual. And I believe
I would have loved to have asked her, like what? like what was a lie that the defense put out there that you can disprove?
That I heard there was a bit of a discussion between counsel and the court at one point where they clarified that they didn't anticipate anyone from the DOJ or FBI to be testifying at all. So I would say that that's possibly not true, that they're from, I hate to keep saying this, but the feds, right? Like it just sounds ridiculous.
But there's a whole complex, and I think Kevin and Kate, you'll know it.
It sounds ridiculous to say the feds. It doesn't sound ridiculous because it's a reality. The feds are involved. Period. Full stop. So I'm going to go over one more thing here. That's enough of that. I'm going to go over one more thing here that I haven't watched yet. Because I want to end this by 7 because I like to keep these things 3 hours. And I think Melanie Little's going live at 7 with a accident reconstructionist expert, I think. I know she has a special guest on. And with Melanie Little's record of bringing special guests on, yeah, good stuff. So let me go over this one last thing real quick. I like to do reactions. I haven't watched this yet. But this looks kind of interesting. All right. This is a channel called the Aussie Insider. I'm going to share here. I haven't watched this yet again. There you go. This is the link to this. And the title of this is All Star Witnesses, Officer John O'Keefe, Karen Reed. I don't know. I'm not familiar with Aussie Insider very well. But I want to watch this. and we are going to play it at high speed to get through it.
It's a complete circus out there, is what they keep saying. We've never seen anything like it. And it's all because of Total Boy. Total Boy, Total Boy, Total Boy. But they're all missing something really important here. By they, I'm referring to the media, who are generally more interested in pushing hype and headlines that sell, or propaganda, if you like. But there is actually a serious side to this, and it's chilling. Some Canton locals have been reaching out to me, and what they are describing is scary as hell. I'll share some of the comments with you, but I'm not going to dox their online handles or who they are. One person who reached out says, I live in Canton, a mile from where this all happened, and I see these people around town. There's a chill in the air living here now, knowing these people are here, so much so that I wish I lived elsewhere now. It's an uncomfortable feeling. If I ever see them, I don't make eye contact. Remember, this is a really small town. This is like 20,000 population, and they're definitely feeling threatened. Another says, well, I stay away from them. I want to maintain my anonymity as much as possible. I watch them all, but lend my support privately. There's so much harassment, etc., happening to people who support Karen. Another says, the way I try to look at it is if I don't want the drama, I have to be smart about it and mind my own business. It's very tempting to speak out and go to the hearings, but then problems follow. You see, a journalist ringing people and asking them questions about their presence at the party that night is a massive difference between people just walking around the streets and feeling threatened. There's a whole lot more to the story than the media is letting on. The main character, in fact, played a starring role in the TV series Boston's Finest. The town of Canton has a reason to be ultra protective of this guy's reputation. The media has a reason to be protective of this guy's reputation. He's their star cop, and his name is Brian Albert. He's the owner of 34 Fairview Road. Officer John O'Keefe was found dead on the front lawn. No way, there's more. His brother.
I think we got a super dad. Super dad. Super dad. Super dad. Dad, 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 dad. I think we got a super dad.
Mark Callahan, thanks so much. Thanks for what you do. Thank you. I appreciate you so much. I appreciate you. That's amazing.
Chris Albert is on the select board committee, purportedly running the whole town. It's a demonstration of Total Boy, Total Boy, Total Boy, quote unquote, intimidating Chris Albert after a select board meeting.
I can't ask an elected official a question? Chris, when are you going to resign from the Board of Selectmen, Chris?
We have it on tape. We have it on tape, Chris.
Don't you think you should resign, Chris? Isn't it kind of ironic that you're on the traffic subcommittee, but you killed a man? Isn't that just a little bit ironic, Chris?
I mean, it's a fair question.
Chris. Oh, wait, do you have a license, Chris? Do you get to keep your license after killing a man? Do you?
That is an interesting question, too.
There we go. Shameful man right there. Chris Albert killed a man, a Hungarian foreign exchange student. He was drunk driving. He rear-ended somebody on the highway, and he kept going.
And he's not even joking. Multiple Bostonians have actually published the court records. He was indeed involved in a hit and run. And some of the players in Officer John O'Keefe's death were involved in helping him get a lighter sentence after he handed himself in, of course. And that's not the end of all the ironies. The fact that Brian Albert's appearance in the Boston's Finest depicts him like a Rocky Balboa jumping in the ring to beat the crap out of somebody paints a somewhat ominous picture of what we know as the Bar Brawler, a story which I've covered previously in a video titled Don't Look Here, for those who haven't seen it yet. Yeah, you kind of get the picture why the media and the Town Select Board Committee would like to protect his reputation.
It ruins the community, and really in the big picture, it ruins society.
Oh, the irony. He's concerned about the community.
Yeah, I'm going to get dinged for this for sure, but it's worth it.
And society, when most people in Canton are actually afraid of them. Also, can you believe that these two tough guys are actually afraid of a journalist? I kid you not. They've gone running to the DA's office to complain about how they're afraid for their lives because a journalist keeps ringing them up and asking them questions. And I got to tell you, the only reason I went to look at who this journalist was that they kept talking about is because people kept accusing me of, I don't know, following that journalist. Because apparently you can't just have your own opinion about a case anymore. You've just got to be part of some cult. So yeah, I went out and researched Total Boy, Total Boy, Total Boy. Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun.
So for all my viewers out there, here is another demonstration of Total Boy threatening a witness.
Hi, Trooper Proctor. This is award-winning journalist Eden Carney calling.
Oh, this needs the right. Yeah, Turtle Boy, Turtle Boy, Turtle Boy. He is such a menace.
I'm calling to talk to you. I do have some questions about you. I have a lot of questions, actually. For starters, why didn't you tell anyone before doing the investigation that you were good friends with the Albert family? Why did you, in your report, say that you were introduced to Chris Albert on February 10th, and you had known him for more than a decade prior to that? Why did you lie about what time you towed Karen car? Why did you intentionally misspell the names of several key witnesses in your report? Maybe you and I can meet up for coffee, because boy, do I have a lot of questions for you. When you were inside Fairview Road that night, that morning rather, why did you stay there for 4.5 hours? And what did you guys talk about and do? And why were you descending stairs with John O'Keefe's phone in your pocket? So give me a call back. I feel like you and I have a lot of catching up to do. I talk about you a lot. I feel like I know you pretty well at this point. Bye.
Okay, I hear you. Technically not a witness. Trooper Proctor is actually the lead detective, apparently, even though DA Morrissey said he was conflicted out. On
Well,
the
he
case.
is technically a witness.
Let me see if I can find a better
Got
example.
to correct that. He is technically a witness because he's going to testify.
Hello, Mrs. Coco. I am Coco for The Truth over here. My name is Eden Carney. I'm an award-winning journalist at Turtle Boy Daily News. And I want to ask you some questions about what happened at your house or outside of your house on the night of January 28th into 29th, 2022. Specifically, I'm wondering about the phone call that your sister made to you at 6:07 and at 6:08, both of which were answered. I want to know what was discussed. Did she alert you to the dead body outside your house? If so, why didn't you do anything to maybe go outside? Were you curious? Were you curious about why there was a dead body outside your house? Because it's kind of strange not to come out. Is this a common occurrence in your neighborhood? I know Canton is a rough place to live. It's like, it's basically, you know, Compton or Ecuador or whatever. So is it true that you filed for divorce against Brian? And is it because he's having sex with your sister, or is it because this is some sort of financial thing in which you're trying to acquire all the assets in case that your husband goes to prison? So give me a call back when you get this talk.
Oh my God, that was terrifying. Are you terrified? I'm terrified. I'm sure you all should be terrified. For those who don't know, Nicole Albert is Brian Albert's wife. Technically a witness, although to this day we're still not entirely sure what she witnessed. It's probably more accurate to say what she didn't witness.
Yo, your advantage, boys. I will all your asses. You be knocked out, KO. Bang, bang.
Yo, Colin.
If this woman wasn't Australian, I'd think it was Pearl that was actually making this video.
Turtle Boy from them Advantage Boys. Bang, bang. Yo, we'll any of you dogs up. Yo, you challenge my boys, them Advantage Boys, to a fight, dog. And we about that life, son. Yo, we from Sharon, son. Yo, Canton bitches ain't hard, yo. Us Sharon bitches, us Advantage Boys. Nobody be with us, and dog. So, yo, call me back. No, but seriously, it's Eden Carney from Turtle Boy Daily News. I just want to know, were you the one who killed John O'Keefe, or was that your Uncle Brian? Who hit him first? Who hit him with the back of the head with the thing? Are you worried that you're going to go to jail for the rest of your life and then you won't be able to play football at Bridgewater State next year? I'd love to have a conversation with you. Your dad kicked me out of your pizza shop, and I didn't get to eat his mediocre chicken parm. So I just wanted to know if you could talk to me about that. Maybe you and I could go for a ride. We could find them Advantage Boys. Bang, bang. I don't know. So give me a call when you get this. Bye.
Oh my goodness. This guy's a clown. Notice though, he was replying to something that Colin Albert published, physically threatening him, not really the other way around. But we'll keep on digging. I'm sure we're going to find some real threats somewhere, because, you know, DA Morrissey said there were real threats.
Hello, Jennifer. This is award-winning reporter Eden Carney calling you from Turtle Boy Daily News. I wanted to ask you about a couple phone calls that you were making on the morning of January 29th, 2022. I want to know why you Googled at 2:27 in the morning, how long to die in snow. What were you thinking around that time? Did that just come to your mind? Was that just on your mind all day and you decided to search for it? Also want to know why you erased that Google search. Also would like to know why you then erased all of your calls, including your calls to your sister Coco at 6:07 and 6:08, both of which were answered. And I was wondering what you guys discussed. Perhaps you discussed the fact that there was a dead body outside of their house, and I'm wondering why they didn't then come out. Were they just tired? Do dead bodies often come around there?
No, like, I know I'm trying to like get through this as quickly as possible, but can we talk about how fucking awesome it is that fucking Jill Daniels fucking doxed herself? Like, yesterday was just kind of like my chill, you know, off day from YouTube. I don't even really like to watch too many videos. Like, I can't help it, but I'll like go through it just bored on my phone. And I saw that Turtle Boy was live, and I stopped in and listened to it for a little bit. And when I stopped in, he was talking about how Jill Daniels doxed herself, and it was just fucking funny. It's just fucking funny. Like, you idiot. Like, leave the trolling to the trolls.
What's the deal with you and Brian? You seem a lot more interested in protecting him than your sister Coco. What does she think of all that? A little bit strange. Are you confident that you're going to get away?
What I saw, from what I saw, and I know he wrote an article about it, but from what I saw, she like posted something and like posted a picture of her like credit card and her driver's license, like trolling under an assumed name. And that shit does happen. Like, I doxed myself one time. I did a fundraiser and donated. I had to make sure that all my viewers knew that I was taking the money that they were donating, and I showed, you know, live. I was like showing, this is me donating this, and I did it. And then I showed like my card information, and I had to like cancel my card and get a new one. It happens, but yo, Jill Daniels, like, get your shit together, lady. That was like, if you're gonna troll to this level and be like a family member of a witness, Be more careful.
Away with this? Are you nervous? Give me a call. Bye.
That's the prosecution's star witness, who witnessed every single move Karen and her car made the night before, except the actual incident, and never mentioned to any police
It is.
interviewers
It's
that
so
Karen had
funny.
asked her to make that search at 6 a.m. and suddenly comes up with this story after Karen's defense team finds this incriminating search on her phone. Yeah, that Jen McCabe.
Hello?
Yeah, live to tape. Hi, is this Jill?
It's Turtle Boy.
It's Turtle Boy. Is this Jill Daniels?
Oh.
What are you doing, Jill?
I'm just, what are you doing?
Are you all worried that your godson, Colin, is going to go to jail?
Do you understand that Colin wasn't even there? Do you understand you're a fucking piece of shit?
Really?
Do you understand you're going to jail?
Why am I going to jail for?
You want to know? Okay, can we have a conversation right now?
Yeah, let's have,
fucking turtle.
Yeah, let's have a conversation. So what is your evidence that Colin wasn't there?
Turtle's loving it. Like Turtle Boy's loving this shit. He's like, oh my God, let's have a conversation. What do you think I called for? I'm live right now. Of course. Yes, please. Let's have this conversation.
Yeah, who's this?
Go fuck yourself, you fucking homo.
Who's that?
Just a little warning. Bill Daniels screaming actually
Go
peeked
fuck
out
yourself,
my
you
sound
fucking
card a couple
homo.
times, so you're probably going to hear some static in the background.
Hey,
go to hell. Go fucking take care of your kids, you fucking loser. Go away.
You loser. Who are you? Is this Julie?
Okay, here we go. Third time lucky.
Seriously, what do you want with me?
I just want to know one thing.
I know that Karen Reed is a fucking killer. Why do you keep calling me? Why don't you get a life and fucking focus on
I just want to know one thing. So what evidence do you have that Colin wasn't there? What evidence do you have?
what evidence do you have that he was there?
Brian Albert's grand jury testimony said that he was there.
Okay, Tom Beatty and Aaron Beatty, guess what?
No, Brian Albert said that. Brian Albert said that Colin was in the house.
You think you're so right about
I
everything?
know I'm right. I've seen it.
Yeah, like his own uncle said that he was inside the house. What are you talking about?
No, you're not. You're
I have the documents. I'm looking at it right now.
bullshit, dude. You're the biggest fucking piece of shit.
How am I a piece of shit? Your son.
No, fuck you. Shut the fuck up for once in your fucking life. You don't know how to shut up. You think you're the biggest fucking bully? Colin was not there, and you're gonna look like a fucking piece of shit.
Where was he? What evidence do you have?
Can you ever shut up? Can you ever shut
Okay,
up?
let's have a conversation.
So shut the fuck up. For one thing in your life, can you shut up?
Okay.
You are the biggest freaking piece of trash in the world. You get kicked off of getting Karen Reed hit John and killed him. You freaking get money off of this. You're a sick human being. Do you know that?
So what evidence do you, can I ask you something? What evidence?
Turtle Boy, what the fuck is your name? Fucking Aiden. What is your name?
My name's Aiden. Aiden, you can call me Aiden. You can call me doctor.
No,
but
I don't want to call you a dickhead because that's what you are.
Okay.
You are a piece of shit. Do you know that?
I disagree.
Okay, and you taping me because that's illegal.
I said
I'd have been like, it's Dr. Dickhead.
I said live to tape. Yes, we're live to tape. I've said that.
You're late. You're live. Okay. Well, let me say this right now to you really quick, okay?
Okay.
My nephew and Brian Albert and Jen Albert are not fucking guilty. Your little good lover that you're banging or you fucking want to bang,
Who?
guess what?
Who?
She's, Karen.
You think I want to bang Karen? That's why you think that's why I'm doing this?
Yeah, okay. Guess what? The cat's out of the bag, dude, okay?
What's out of the
I don't know how you got my number. You're a creep. You call me. You call my family. You call whatever. Why are you such a creep?
Can I just ask you something? One question.
Creepy.
What evidence do you have that Colin was not in the house? Serious question.
What evidence do you have that he was?
The-
That's a serious
so okay, I have a
No, no, no. That's a serious question. What do you have that he was in the house?
Brian Albert's grand jury testimony.
Brian Allen's grand testimony was that Colin was in the house. Dude,
Yes.
where's the grand? No, shut the fuck up. For once in your life, seriously, you don't know how to shut up. You're a fucking troll that fucking trolls everybody because you have no life, you have no clear friends, and you freaking focus on your kids. You have 2 kids.
I
You
do.
understand
They're
that?
lovely.
And your wife hates you, so
Okay,
whatever.
but you're changing the subject.
Beside the point. Yeah, no, change the subject, Billy.
Yeah.
You are a blogger. First of all, I gotta ask you this one thing. This is one thing I've always
Yeah,
wanted to ask you. Where's your award? Your award
Stay on task. We're not talking about my kids. We're talking about your fucking nephew.
winning journalist. Where's that award?
I'm the 2017 Worcester County Best Media Outlet.
6 years later.
Well, it still counts.
Why don't you produce that? Why don't you produce that? You fucking
I have.
friggin' piece of
I've
shit.
done blogs about it.
Okay, guess what? Shut the fuck up.
Oh, sorry. Okay, sorry.
Do you know how to shut up? Do you ever know how to shut up?
I'm trying.
I'm asking you right now, do you?
Sometimes.
Okay, no, you don't because you're a fucking loser. Oh, I went to Truro because somebody gave me a thing. Dude, you have
I did.
you're calling yourself a turtle. A turtle. Do you know what I mean?
I don't know how to
Guess
shut
what?
up.
We're getting a little off.
Even average. No, shut the fuck up.
Whoa, we're getting a little off track.
You're like, shut the fuck up.
Whoa, you're so angry. Why are you so angry?
No, I'm angry because
Yeah.
I'm so sick of you. You have ruined so many people's fucking lives and Karen fucking killed him. Karen did. And you know what? The truth is going to come out. You know what? Fucking Turtle Boy hated.
Well, but can I read the grand jury testimony right here?
Oh, wait, excuse me.
It says Colin. I'm reading grand jury testimony. It says Colin Albert was also.
Guess what? Shut the fuck up. You fucking
I
loser.
can't even talk.
Colin was in the house, but he wasn't there when everybody came back from the fight. Everyone else.
According to Brian and Nicole Albert's testimony before the grand jury,
Oh, he was in the house. He wasn't in the house. Like
their nephew Colin Albert was also present.
Colin Albert was in.
you should never talk to a guy like Turtle Boy angry like that. You should never ever do that. A guy like Turtle Boy, you should never ever bring your emotions into it if you're gonna talk to him, because yeah, this shit's gonna happen. You dummy.
House, but prior to when John and Brian and Higgins and actually, one question: why is it guilty until proven innocent? Why is that? What about Higgins? What about everybody? Like
Higgins, what? Why are you turning on Higgins?
no, I'm asking
That's a
you.
great
No,
question.
I'm saying there was
That's a great question. Why is it always guilty until proven innocent? Why is Karen Reed guilty until proven innocent? Why doesn't the justice system work for her in both the court of law and the court of public opinion? Why? I mean, if there's any case ever that required the public to look at all the facts before they make their opinion, it's this one. If there's ever been a case. So it's just incredible to me that she's like,
There was 6 people in the house. Why are you focusing on Brian and Colin only? Colin was in
Well,
the house.
I feel like I've given Jen a pretty significant amount of time.
Enter the goddamn house, and you know that.
I know his phone. Then how did his phone go up and down? Then how did his phone go up and downstairs then? If Karen didn't go in the house, I mean, if John didn't go in the house, then why did his phone go up and downstairs?
Right. Aiden's bipolar. Not the crazy woman screaming in the phone.
Right.
Go get a new name, okay, you fucking turtle juice. I'm done. Colin didn't do it. Brian didn't do it. Jen didn't do it. No one did it. Your fucking bitch Karen did it. So fucking lay on that and fucking figure that out. Go fuck.
What can I ask you? But seriously though,
I'm thinking about call number 3 should have been give up time, but he's going to keep going.
Colin, I hate you. You are dead to me. I hate you. Colin didn't do it. Jen didn't do it. When you find out that Karen did it, I can't wait till you fucking.
But Karen,
everybody.
why would I go to jail?
Bye bye.
What crime did I commit? What crime did I commit? Why do you guys all say that?
That's interesting, right? Why do you guys all say that? Because at the time when this is being streamed, he's like, I don't understand why people keep saying that I'm going to jail. I haven't committed a crime. I'm doing my job. And then guess what happens? Turtle Boy magically ends up in jail based on fucking lies. Imagine that.
And that's where my sound card started freaking out. He did make one more call, but she didn't pick up, so he left a message, which is all very cordial and polite and everything. Certainly no screaming. But I think you get the general idea. He's not really threatening anybody. He's just annoying them.
Right.
Could annoying them be classed as harassing? I guess it could. But
Yeah,
when you hear intimidation,
possibly,
witness
sure.
intimidation, you're expecting to hear, you need to change your statement or else, things of that nature. And
Right.
I've listened to as much as I can find. He's left other voicemails where he says he's not going to go away. He's just going to keep calling them. Again, I could call that harassing, but certainly not intimidating. He certainly hasn't said someone needs to change their statement to something else, followed by some kind of threat. The quote stated in his witness intimidation court documents are really taken out of context. Cherry picked and isolated, they probably could sound very intimidating. But when you hear him say those things in context and with the humour and everything added, it really isn't threatening. At most, I'd call it annoying, but I don't suppose Massachusetts has a law against annoying people. Anyway, I just wanted to show you an example of how these big, tough, burly guys are feeling threatened by Taylor Boy, Taylor Boy, Taylor Boy.
Right.
I didn't even get the impression that Jill Daniels was threatened by anything. In fact, if she was coming after me, I'd feel threatened by her. Gotta give the man some credit. He's got some balls. These are not the type of people I'd be messing with, that's for sure.
Right.
Yes, I
I've
don't
said
think that
this
any of these
too.
people have any reason to be afraid for their lives. The locals of Canton, however, yeah, I'd be keeping a low profile too.
All right. Way to go, Aussie Insider. Appreciate you for that video. Well done. All right, guys, that's it for me. Tomorrow, I will be streaming bright and early, 9 a.m. Make sure to log on to Tom CPU at 7 a.m. to see and connect with everybody who's out there in gathering and protesting outside of the courthouse. To me, that's one of the most important things to keep an eye on, folks, because they are out there protesting for not just their rights, but yours too. If you missed my live yesterday, all of that explains why. So please give that a watch if you haven't. Every single stream, as long as I'm capable, I will be streaming the trial. Every day of the trial, I will be streaming it. So, and I think Melanie Little is going live now, if she's not live already. I'm looking forward to that. I will see you guys in that chat after a little while. Got some personal things to take care of, Clubber being one of them. So, guys, I love you very much. I will see you guys tomorrow, meaning we will do this again very soon, my friends. Have a good night, guys.